morning. It is Glenn Clark Radio. Would you rather Wednesday edition of the show brought to you by Glory Days Grill. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. Coming up in just a few minutes, our buddy Eric Edholm, NFL.com. He's actually, we've chatted with Eric since he moved over to .com. He was monitoring the Ravens game and writing about it for them on Sunday. We'll talk to him about what he saw. Then later on this hour, great Brian Baldinger returns to the program. Baldy will be on the call for Compass Media on Sunday for Ravens-Dolphins national radio broadcast. He did a few Ravens-related breakdowns this week. Of course, everybody loves Baldy's breakdowns on Twitter. He did one last night about Lamar Jackson and how much the effort Lamar put into staying in the pocket on Sunday. And I agree. In watching your video, there appears to be a determined effort to stay in the pocket. Now the question I need to ask Baldy is that what Lamar should be doing? Is being so hell-bent on staying in the pocket? That's a question. We'll talk about it. I know Michael Irvin has that opinion. I'm not trying to criticize Lamar at all. It's not a criticism as much as it's a question. I think that Baldy pointed out a few throws that worked out quite well that Lamar stayed in the pocket, allowed a play to develop. But there's a lot of times where I see these videos and I say to myself, boy, there seems to be an awful lot of space for him to take off running, and he's Lamar Jackson. Talk about it in Baldy. Drew Forrester will check in as he does every Wednesday because we are gluttons for punishment as well. Today's show brought to you by the Ginsu Kamado Grill, coming soon. It's the perfect ceramic tailgate or home grill to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all kinds of food. Get the details and reserve yours today at GinsuGrills.com. Orioles win last night, which, is better than the alternative.
World Series back on.
And they were flirting with the alternative for a bit last night. Like, there was a moment when they were down 3-1. I was like, oh my, is this really how this is going to go? Like, you've already lost to bad teams. You already lost to the Red Sox. They're a bad team. You already got your butts kicked. You're going to let it just completely fall apart and allow the Nationals to put the final nail in the coffin? Like, really? That's how this is going to go? But that didn't end up being the case. Like everybody else, I thought the moment with Ryan Mountcastle and Hunter Harvey was pretty neat. I'm sure Hunter Harvey might not feel the exact same way, but his team stinks, so what do I care? I don't know that he was exactly thrilled. Ryan Mountcastle, Hunter Harvey, apparently legitimately best friends.
Apparently they got dinner the night before.
Cool. Cool. I mean, I would it's this weird thing where I'm like, hey, that's neat, but like, where were these home runs when we needed them? Like, that's the tough part for me.
Maybe we need them right now.
Maybe, but it's a hard maybe. It is really difficult to envision this being particularly helpful at this point in the season. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the Orioles have some sort of dramatic turnaround. That would be swell. What ended up happening with the Blue Jays and the Rays in the second game last night?
The Blue Jays won.
So the Blue Jays have now gone ahead of the Rays. So bad news for the Orioles. They made up no ground.
Yeah. Actually, wait. Did we go in 5.5 back yesterday?
No, they were going in 5 games back of Toronto. Now they're 5 games back of Tampa.
And Seattle. Seattle lost to San Diego.
It's still 5 games. It doesn't change the number. 5 games. 5 games back.
Pretty interesting race between those 3 teams.
Sure, except they all kind of comfortably hold spots.
Yeah, but one of them's going to host a wild card series.
Okay.
So,
is that how that works?
I think because the first 2 are getting buys. So the 1 and 2.
Okay, yeah. So the third division winner and I mean, okay. Like, I'm not okay.
It'll be us, so
it doesn't really.
We'll care.
It doesn't really impact me, man. It just does not. I have no concern as to whether the Blue Jays, Mariners, or Rays host the other in a playoff series. That just does nothing for me, dog. I'm sorry. You can't get me worked up about that. But hey, again, it could be worse. If there's any bizarro world where the Orioles can make one more dramatic run, they can't afford to be losing games to the Nationals, and they didn't. And Felix Bautista did indeed make his return, so that's good. Rougned Odor was out, but I'm not really sure what difference that makes, if I'm being totally honest with you.
We saw Jorge Mateo come in and talk to Felix Bautista in the 9th inning, settle him down after he walked the...
Okay.
So he took that from Odor. That's from Odor.
Oh, that was Odor's role, you're saying?
Yeah. So Odor, that's why Odor was so important this season.
So no need for Rougned Odor to come back. Jorge Mateo can just do that moving forward. Sure.
Well, that's why it was important that Odor was here.
I wish I could get more. I wish I had more spirit. I wish I had more of some sort of feeling about this. I don't. I just don't. I don't think there's any path. I don't think there's any path back into it. I think 5 games is entirely too much. Now, you can keep telling me about how they have 6 games left with the Blue Jays. You're asking them to win all of those games and still not trip up anywhere else. It's absurd. Like, even if they win 5 of those 6 games, they don't make up the difference. Remember, they're now 5.5 games back of Toronto. They would have to win all 6. It's not reasonable. It's not reasonable to keep talking about how that's the difference and that's why they're still in it. The most reasonable thing you could ask is for them to go 4-2. They go 4-2, they only make up 2 games. Where are the rest coming from? I know I sound so negative. I know I sound like such a Debbie Downer, and I know that baseball is still going on, and until the Orioles are eliminated, we're going to enjoy it. And I understand all that. I just can't live in fantasy land. Like, I can't pretend like there is some sort of reasonable path. Is it impossible? Of course not. At the beginning of the season, I didn't think it was likely. But you can never say anything's impossible. It's not impossible until it is. Of course, it's not impossible. But is there any reasonable scenario by which I see the Orioles being in a playoff race? I don't see it. They struggled to beat the Nationals last night. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there is a big charge coming.
A win's a win.
You're right about that. Dynamite observation. That's why they call him the best color analyst. And they're calling the best color analyst in baseball for nothing, folks. A win is a win. It's not a watermelon. That's a different thing altogether.
They didn't lose any ground.
A win is not the War of 1812. Different thing. A win is a win. That's what it is. They wrap up this short series of the Nationals tonight. Tyler Wells on the mound against Patrick Corbin. We'll see how much Tyler Wells has in him. That's, of course, the other subplot is that they had to piggyback him last time, and because they had 2 days off this week, they would have more of an opportunity to do that tonight should that be necessary. But you hope that
I think it's going to be both.
He's ramping up. The real question is, why are we not – what's going on with Grayson exactly? Like, what's the deal there? Like, I mean – you're kind of running out of time there. What exactly are we doing?
You're waiting for him to come home against Detroit?
It could be. It would be, as I've said a million times before, it would be nice for the Orioles to prioritize having their guys go. But if he's ready, like, again, I always say the rules to me are different if you're competing for a playoff spot. And I know that it's difficult to paint a picture where you're competing for a playoff spot, but it is a little weird. Like, it's a little weird. You'd be waiting until next week if you're trying to do it at home. And I don't know that I understand, like, why suddenly when you didn't do this with other guys, why are you suddenly choosing to do it with Grayson Rodriguez?
He's not going to start, is he? He can't start. Is he ramped up to start a game?
No, I don't think he's gone very deep so far. I think he would be pitching likely out of the bullpen at this point, and or as an opener, if you will. Let me pull up to see what he did in his last appearance, because I know he pitched 2 days ago. Maybe it was 3 days ago. Maybe it was Sunday that he pitched. It's difficult for me to remember anything. It's difficult for me to remember what day it is currently. He pitched on September 11th, so that would have been Sunday. He went 2 2/3. But 4 earned runs.
Hey.
Oh, boy.
He can let up those
I only let up
runs.
1 hit, but it was 3 walks.
He can let up those 4 runs in Camden Yards.
However, by the way, he recorded 8 outs on Sunday. This is a wild stat. Recorded 8 outs on Sunday. 7 of them by strikeout. That's a weird line, man. Yeah. I would like to know more about that game. Really weird line. 4 runs and 2 2/3 on 1 hit, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. It's a very, very weird line. I'm assuming that means the 1 hit was either a grand slam or a 3-run homer.
Or how many walks did he have? He didn't walk anybody?
3 walks.
Okay.
1 hit, 3 walks, 7. Yeah, he can't allow 4 runs if he only allowed 1 hit and no walks. It would take, I guess, a bunch of errors, I guess, could get you there. 3 walks, 1 hit, 4 earned runs. Every runner on base scored. 7 strikeouts. Weird line, man. So I don't know what the story is on Grayson Rodriguez. We will see. The other thing that we're kind of waiting on to see is what the Ravens do. They have, of course, 2 roster spots open up as they unfortunately had to put both Fuller and James on IR this week. And so the question is, what do you do with those 2 roster spots? I think most people seem to believe that David Sharp, who's on the roster, I believe that he will end up getting one of those spots to give them one more offensive lineman. There's just not much out there on the street for them to get in order to fill those roster spots. Like, could you pull somebody off just because you need to? Of course. You can always pull somebody off. What's the real difference in it being somebody that's internal that you don't trust versus somebody that's external that you don't trust? You can sign somebody off somebody else's practice squad. They signed a dude, or they picked up a waiver claim on a guy that I'd never heard. I was combing over the Ravens roster for power rankings this week, which are up at PressBoxOnline.com. You'll never believe who I have number 1. That's right, the Washington Commanders. Big win, take command.
Really?
Let's do it. The Bills. Of course, I have the Bills number 1. They beat the Rams.
What?
I'm not sure if you heard. Of course, the Bills are number 1. Although the Chiefs look really good too.
Great. They're both in our conference. Cool.
Bro, I mean, you knew what you were getting into when the season began. Of course, we thought the Bengals were almighty too. Turns out they don't have a long snapper. It's a weird bit. The other weird bit is that they turned the ball over like 100 times, and still, if they just had a long snapper, they would have won. So there's that. I said in there, I was doing a bit where I was combing over everybody's roster to do the, I had no idea this guy played for this team now, which I do that every year. Every year, I'm like, holy crap. Like, when I sat down to watch the Thursday night game last week, I had no bloody clue that Jamison Crowder was now a Buffalo Bill. I had no idea.
Neither did I when I drafted Isaiah McKenzie. I was like, oh, McKenzie's getting all the slot.
I don't know when that happened. I don't know. Nothing. I knew none of it because like you have only so much bandwidth to pay attention to all these things. And outside guys with fantasy football ramifications, why would you be paying particularly close attention? When I found out Quan Alexander was a Jet, I was like, since when? When the hell did that happen? I thought he was a Saint. I do this every year. Kyle and I used to play a game where I would go through and I would just grab like 20 names and ask him if he knew what team they played for now.
That's a fun game.
It's a great game. Maybe later in the show I'll have you do that with me.
Okay.
Now, remember, I went through the rosters this week.
Okay.
But I still don't know. I still don't know that I'm going to do well with the game because it's very difficult to remember all of these things. So I did that for power rankings this week, and I combed over the Ravens roster to see who someone in another market, like a guy that was doing radio in Denver today, would be like, wow, really? That guy's a Raven? How did I miss that? If it's how did I miss that DeMarcus Robinson ended up in Baltimore? How did I miss that Mike Davis was a Raven, right? Like, I think there are players on the Ravens roster that somebody in another market would miss. And as I was going through it, I swear to God, there was a guy on the Ravens roster. I was like, who the hell is that? Now I got to remember what the guy's name was. Because I was like, what? He plays for the Ravens. That's our team. And I don't know who the hell that guy is. I've never heard of him in my life. Oh, my God. I got to pull it up. Del'Shawn Phillips. He's on the active roster. He's not on the practice squad. He wasn't around for training camp. He's one of the 53. I don't know who he is. No clue. None. So, I think I went back and found out he was a guy that they picked up on the waiver wire at the end of training camp. And my point being, they could make the move for David Sharp. That's an option. They could also just pick somebody up off someone else's practice squad that they happen to like or somebody that they thought about or they looked at when training camp cuts occurred. But the reality is they're going to have to make 2 roster moves this week as they officially placed both Juwan James and Kyle Fuller on IR yesterday. Today's show is also brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. They are offering you $5 in free bet play for every $25 same-game parlay you make. It's a little bit complicated. You got to make that parlay bet this week, and then you can come back next week and make your $5 free play parlay bet. But it's got to be on a same-game parlay at plus 500 odds or more. So it's giving you sort of a free chance to win big money. You got to go out there on it. You got to think about maybe like 2 different touchdown scorers in the same game, something like that. For every $25 bet that you put in, $5 in free play for a single game parlay of plus $500 or plus 500 odds or more. Find out more by just going up to the window at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. They will explain it all to you in detail. But that's going on right now for football season as you enjoy watching and betting on all of the games. I don't know that we've caught up with this man since he got his new gig. He's been one of my favorites for a long time. He is Mr. Eric Edholm, and he's now at NFL.com. Eric, it's Glenn. It's been too long, my friend. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us, and congratulations on the new gig.
Yeah, it has been too long, and thank you very much for that. Very good to hear your voice. Hope you're doing well as always.
I'm doing all right, man. The very same to you. Just give me a bigger idea. I know you're going to be doing draft stuff for them, and of course we've had you on all the time to talk about draft over the years, but what else can we expect from you now that you've jumped over to NFL.com?
Yeah, I won't be fully in draft mode. I mean, I'll be doing a little bit of draft stuff. We've kind of noticed that our audience tends to lean that direction more in the October, November, December range, and of course anything after that. But yeah, I mean, I'll be doing kind of the what we learned around the league, kind of I'll look at 2 or 3 games over the weekend, watch them closely, and some takeaways from those games. I'll be doing some other features during the week. But yeah, as we get closer to the chillier months, I'll start shifting more to draft mode.
And I know that you had the Ravens game this week as one of your games for what we learned. Let me just start there. What most jumped out at you? What was the thing? Because this is the difficult part for me, Eric. It's week 1. It's the New York Jets. It's, in particular, Joe Flacco and the New York Jets, right? And it would be easy to be kind of dismissive and say, well, it was kind of a lackluster performance. It wasn't exactly exhilarating. But at the same time, we also saw what happened everywhere else in the NFL this week and how many other teams we thought would have easy wins that didn't. So for the most part, I think if Ravens fans should be fairly pleased with what they saw in the performance against the Jets.
Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously things got off for both teams, but certainly for the Ravens, at least according to expectations, got off to a pretty slow start offensively. And, they get the short field with the interception, can't convert, got to settle for a field goal, things like that. Really wasn't until that, that one drive right before the end of the first half that you felt like they started to get a rhythm. And I think a lot of it was predicated with the lack of a run game. They just couldn't get anything going on the ground, put a lot on Lamar's shoulders. Obviously not a complete offensive line right now, or at least not, the peak of its powers. So, he had to do a lot, and I thought he, for the most part, did great. And you saw some of the fruits of that in the second half with the downfield passing game, things like that. And, he didn't seem to get bothered either by the fact that, Isaiah Likely had a tough first game. Bateman had the drop, and it was just, it was a little sloppy, but you saw him pretty in control. And like you said, not the greatest opponent of all time, but I do think this is a better Jets team. They were in a tough spot with Wilson out. They've had their plenty of issues at offensive tackle too, but I think this is a better Jets team. So I think we'll look back on that win as being maybe a shade more impressive than maybe it looks right now.
I mean, I will believe you. I love Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson looks like an absolute rock star. Otherwise, I'm just going to be forced to, and obviously Quentin Williams looked like a monster as well on Sunday. But outside of that, I'm just going to be forced to believe you when it comes to that because I didn't see it. I bring up, obviously the run game thing, and I know you wrote about it as well. The way that I discussed it on our post-game show was, look, this can't work. Like, you're not going to be able to win a Super Bowl in this AFC without being able to establish the run game. I'm willing to not panic about it until you get more of your pieces back into place. And maybe, unfortunately, at this point, we should say if you get your pieces back into place, specifically when it comes to Ronnie Stanley. But once you have J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, more dynamic backs, then maybe I'll wait till then to judge the run game. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. I mean, obviously, you had to, kind of split carries up between Drake and Davis, and Hill got a few carries as well, and those guys all, had some input on the passing game too, or whatever. And I just think that there was obviously a kind of a void there, like as you pointed out. I think obviously with a better pecking order at running back, they'd have a little bit better options. With Stanley back, you'd have a better blocking offensive line. And, a lot of it obviously is going to be based on the looks you're getting. And they clearly were, playing some 8 in the box and stuff. And that obviously helped Lamar get some looks downfield and more vertical passing game than we've necessarily seen at times. So obviously that's a big part of it. I look at the team like the Rams, right? Their inability to run the football. They're a little bit stubborn with what they do. I think the Ravens are a little bit more flexible offensively, but it raises a good issue, right? In this day and age, people tend to downplay the run game, but you sometimes have to run the ball to get the defensive looks you want to be able to throw the ball, right? So that's a big part of it too. And it may not show up in the yards as much or in the first downs or average yards per play or any of that stuff, but yeah, you'll notice it, right? And those big plays will eventually come. So this is a team that's obviously kind of made its hallmark as the run game is the backbone of the offense, and everything kind of branches off of that. I don't know that we're going to be talking about a top 5 unit this year like we normally do in Baltimore, but I do think eventually it'll start flourishing a little bit.
He is Eric Edholm, NFL.com. He's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Eric, I thought the biggest story to me of the game, maybe I'll make it a tie, one being I thought what we saw from Devin Duvernay was so important, and not just because he specifically caught touchdowns, but you could tell the Jets were lining Sauce Gardner up against Mark Andrews. Like, there just wasn't a ton of respect that was being shown to any wide receiver that wasn't Rashad Bateman, and understandably so, right? I think the Ravens needed to establish someone else as being a threat to at least put it on film to make defenses think about something the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a player that it was really interesting to watch coming out of Texas. And, you saw him make some kind of circus catches, and he had a little bit of an unusual build, almost more like a running back coming out. But there was something about him that really kind of endeared me to him, him to me, I should say, rather, in Texas. And yet it's taken a little time for him to kind of develop. And, he's had to kind of be patient and wait, and a little bit more of an old school development at that position. We've seen so many first-year studs come out in recent years. We forget that, hey, 10 years ago, the idea of a receiver sitting his first, not sitting, but
right,
maybe toiling a bit his first couple of years until that role opens up, until they develop, until they learn their craft. That was pretty common, and it can still happen that way. And I think it speaks to patience and scouting and development, how they go hand in hand, and he's the byproduct of it. So if he's as good as he looked in week 1 as that great third wheel, right? I don't, I think that's an important role too in the passing game. Having 2 options is great. Having 3 makes you really tough to defend. That's really what he's going to provide. His hands, his sort of springiness, I think is going to shine out this year. That's why I grabbed him in fantasy. I thought, Jesus, he being undersold or what?
If you played him week 1, you are the genius of geniuses, Eric. Oh, yeah, that's probably right.
Not that smart, yeah.
The other story to me was on the other side of the ball, which was just a matter of weekend. Michael Pierce dominated up front. They were monsters up front, and I don't know if this is just more of the story of what we're going to get from Mike McDonald with some more base 4-3. And we talked so much this offseason, Eric, about how limited the Ravens were with Tyus Bowser not back yet and David Ajabo not, going to be on the field for a while. Man, I thought this was a huge story in saying, hey, we think we can generate some pressure up front. And if they can, it goes a long way. Just allowing Justin Houston to only get after quarterbacks and not have to do all the other things that a linebacker has to do. And this to me, again, not knowing if it's more about the Jets' offensive line and all those things, but it jumped out as potentially a big story based on how this roster was constructed.
It could be, obviously, again, we think about sort of the old school philosophy of, building from the interior out. I still think there's a case to be made for that being an important element, right? And that's why you saw a team like, well, obviously a lot of people thought Baltimore might be in play for Jordan Davis. The Eagles end up trading up to get him. And it was a highly controversial move. And I only bring this up because, in this day and age, we think the defensive tackle position, unless you're Aaron Donald, unless you're creating a constant source of pressure from the inside, isn't one of those positions that you should necessarily overspend on. Back to our conversation with the run game, maybe we're overlooking it a little bit, and having those two guys in the middle is really crucial. And Travis Jones, coming into the third round this year, I mean, that'll pay off in time, I believe, because he's a good football player. So, yeah, I think, number one, anytime a quarterback feels that center kind of right in his face and there's limited movement ability, that's important. Anytime a team feels like you can't run up the middle, A and B gaps on a team, really limits what they can do, and it changes how a defense can attack and really set hard edges and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, again, there's just sort of a hidden value in having those guys. And Matabuike was another player I liked coming out. I thought, this is somebody who, has the kind of length and strength to make a difference inside and a little bit of versatility and where he can line up technique-wise. So, yeah, I mean, that's a nice little element to have on a defense. And like you said, it kind of opens up things for, other guys too. Broderick Washington, I mean, another guy who I think, can be a contributor too. So it's pretty fun. It's nice when you have that solidified inside of a position.
Boy, I mean, it was a joy to watch on Sunday. I can tell you that much. Yeah. It was a joy to watch. Eric, we'll wrap with this. Biggest difference right now between where the Ravens are and where, like the Bills and the Chiefs just look like, and I get it, I don't want to overreact to week one. To week one, but we knew they were good coming into the year, right? Like, we're not surprised by the fact that the Bills and the Chiefs look like such monsters in week one. The biggest difference between where the Ravens are and where those teams that I think we all accept at being the top of the AFC are is what to you?
Right, and maybe after Thursday we add the Chargers to that list.
Yeah,
but
maybe,
I get what impressed me most about the Bills opening night was what their defense was able to do, right? We knew about the explosive offense. They seemed to have a little bit better rotation at running back, even with the rookie fumbling. That part will sort itself out. I'm not too worried about that. But defensively, young secondary, some question marks in terms of, is that going to be a unit that holds up all year, 13 seconds? They did their job week one really, really well. Chiefs defensively, first three quarters were lights out. They build a 30-point lead, go into prevent mode, and it really helps them. Some of the young guys, they added a little bit more hunger, a little bit more aggressiveness. So really, if you think about it in those terms, the makeup of the Ravens isn't that much vastly different. We could argue that on his best day, Lamar is just as dangerous as, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, right? I mean, I don't think that's a crazy stretch to say. Obviously, with his ability to throw the football seemingly improving here, I mean, that's, not that it was ever an issue before, but it was just a consistency thing where you'd see some plays, some games, some series just wasn't quite as lethal. Boy, if that all comes together, I don't think that formula is vastly different from some of the heavyweights of the AFC. So gives you a chance. It really does. And we know how much emphasis they put on defense and special teams, and especially this year with the change of coordinator.
Hopefully, but I think so much of it really does. They have to get Ronnie Stanley back. They have to. They
absolutely
have to do
it.
Yep. Eric Edholm, man, great to catch up with you. At Eric_Edholm, correct, is how you people can follow you on Twitter.
Yeah.
And NFL.com all season long. Man, so happy for you. Look forward to doing this again soon. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning, man.
Appreciate it, Glenn. Yeah, thank you very much. See you soon.
Eric Edholm, really love that guy. Always have. Is very good at what he does, and look forward to chatting with him more as the season goes on now that he's in this new role at NFL.com. See Olympic athletes in action as the nation's best horses and riders compete in one of the world's premier equestrian events at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th in Cecil County. Fair warning, and of course today we end up far behind. Just so you know, we thought that the commercial breaks were getting a little bit long, and particularly for a show like this. That's a burden I don't want to put on you. So we're breaking them up a little bit, and we're going to do 4 breaks during the course of the show. Again, did not plan that well for day one. I just always like to tell you guys these things. You guys go out of your way in order to find this show. They're going to be shorter breaks. We do really ask that you support those that support us. This is not like other, true traditional radio scenarios. We need you. We need the people that fund us to believe that their advertising works, and so we need you to lift up those places and support them and thank them and be aware of them in order for us to be able to keep doing this, or it goes away. Unfortunately, that's the way that it goes. So just a fair warning about today, and for the near future. Which is a good problem for us. It means that people are on board and believe in what we do, and we like all of those things. But we just want to make it a little bit less of a burden, so we're making the breaks a little bit shorter, and we'll be splitting them up and doing a few more breaks during the course of the show. And, of course, as I said that, it turns out we might take a break right now. You think that's a good idea? All right, Griffin. Griffin's the man in charge, so we will do that. Brian Baldinger is scheduled to join us. We are going to talk to him about this Sunday's game between the Ravens and Dolphins, which he will be on the call for Compass Media Networks. That's on the way. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Experience the best in Kamado Grilling. A complete outdoor cooking appliance, the Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone from novices to grill masters to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. Constructed out of thick ceramic, the Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com. That's ginsugrills.com.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip, that first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Come in for Glory Burgers, Glory Wings. There's glory for everyone at Glory Days Grill. Enjoy their award-winning burgers, ribs, and wings, or try the fresh salads, hand-cut salmon, or the scrumptious sandwiches. Yum! Come in for the daily specials every weekday, like $7.99 burgers on Mondays and $6.99 nachos on Thursdays. Dine in and let us serve you, or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and take it home. That's glorydaysgrill.com for a location near you. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
The Maryland Lottery presents Ravens' Greatest Plays. It was called the Mile High Miracle, a 70-yard touchdown pass against Denver with 30 seconds left to send the game into overtime. The Ravens eventually won, propelling them to the championship. Another great Ravens play belongs to Diane from Annapolis. Diane played Ravens Scratch-Offs and won season tickets for 20 years. You could be next. Play Ravens Scratch-Offs with instant prizes up to $100,000. And please play responsibly.
Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery. Oh, that's that. We're back. Right, I forgot that we need a fourth. That's on me. We need a fourth rejoiner made because we were only doing 3 commercial breaks in the past, so Paul only made 3 rejoiners, so we need a fourth one. I'll work on that. I'll get that. But in the meantime, it's going to be dry coming back from break. All right, it is Glenn Clark Radio, Wednesday edition of the show. We will try to track down Brian Baldinger at some point and chat with him. Don't know what's going on with Baldy, but we love him, and we will figure out a way to make that work. Did you are we going to do the I guess what player? Are you going to put that together at some point during the course of the morning?
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
All right, so we'll do that.
How many you want me to have ready?
I don't know, 10, something like that. I mean, like it's difficult because I still want you to be involved in the show. I don't want you to check out entirely and me just be sitting over there. Hey, Griffin, Griffin, you still there? Let me go over the 3 scenarios for Would You Rather Wednesday, which is brought to you by Glory Days Grill. They're up right now at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. 3 scenarios for Would You Rather Wednesday. We will talk to about them more when Drew checks in here in a bit. Would you rather number 1, Dak Prescott's injury actually a little bit worse than they had hoped, and the Cowboys are ready. They're going to give up a 3rd-round pick for Tyler Huntley. Or just can't do it. Can't give up on a backup quarterback you trust when you're trying to go about winning a Super Bowl. Can't do it. Number 2. The pictures, you can find the picture at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter. Did you see what Kentucky did after they beat Florida?
I did not.
Awesome. It's wonderful. Of course, Kentucky beat Florida on Saturday. And afterwards, they had a post-game meal. Or maybe it was the next day, I don't know.
Now I'm looking at it.
And Will Levis shared on his social that the post-game meal was roasted gator. So, would you rather? Congratulations, you've won a big football game. Yay! Your post-game meal is either that roasted gator or, go back a couple years, the low-end fast food smorgasbord that Clemson got to enjoy at the White House after winning the national championship. I don't think I need to share any pictures of that. I think we all remember the heat lamps and it was not Chick-fil-A. It was the lower-end fast food items, but a great many of them. A great many of those fast food items. And number 3, would you rather? I don't know if you guys saw it this week, but Steph Curry apparently is on the cover of the new Rolling Stone, which is I don't know what Rolling Stone is anymore. Like I just don't. I know once upon a time it was a rock and roll magazine. Whatever it is now. Steph Curry was on the cover of Rolling Stone, or is on the cover of Rolling Stone. And in the cover story, Steph Curry tells Rolling Stone that the Warriors did indeed try to trade for Kevin Durant this offseason, which is, it's something that we had all believed would be possible. We believed it was the type of thing that could happen. So would you rather you're Steph Curry? Good news, wait a second. Did I just hear Baldy's voicemail message? And it's him saying...
Yeah, it's a fantastic voicemail message.
That's almost as good as having him on the show.
Should I just play the voicemail message?
Like, I kind of... Oh, man, I don't want to call. I don't want to make it seem like we're obsessive. I don't want to call him again. Does he really sing, "Are you ready for some football"?
Yes, he does.
I'm not even mad at him now. I'm not even mad that he hasn't posted yet for the show. That's fantastic. Brian Baldinger sings "Are you ready for some football" in his voicemail message. Chef's kiss. Anyway, you're Steph Curry. Would you rather the Warriors indeed trade for Kevin Durant, presumably improving your opportunity at winning more titles, or no, because you'd rather continue to prove you don't need Kevin Durant to win more titles, therefore kind of furthering your own legacy a little bit? Those are the 3 scenarios for Would You Rather Wednesday. At Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter is where you can get in, or Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. Kind of a slow start for Would You Rather Wednesday. I don't know what's going on today, but I don't care for it. Bit of a slow start. Need you guys to pick up the act, and we will just go over them ourselves when Drew joins us here in a bit. This is from Derek. Derek says, Glenn, in your breakdown of what it is that the Ravens did on Sunday, I tend to agree with you that the biggest stories were Devin Duvernay and the defensive line. I guess the question that I have is in relation to what you said we all believed that this team was going to be about. We thought that this was going to be a team that was going to look to replicate the 2019 Ravens. Based on what you saw on Sunday, and I get it, they didn't have their running backs and they didn't have Ronnie Stanley. But are you willing to rip that up idea? Are you willing to rip up that idea, I think is what you meant to say. And should we at this point believe that the Ravens are not actually trying to replicate that type of offense, but instead are trying to do something else where the run game might still be important, but it's clearly more based around Lamar's abilities as a passer? If that's true, do you feel any differently about the fact they didn't get rid of Greg Roman? It's a really interesting question, Derek. That's why I saved it, by the way. I should have rewritten it for him so he didn't have the flub on the line. But it's a really interesting question. Because if you guys do listen to this show, and if you do pay attention, if you listen to Rita and Glenn on 105.7 The Fan, you know that whenever we've talked about Greg Roman, one of the things that I've most discussed is he's here because of what the Ravens want to do offensively. And if they wanted to do something else, they would presumably move on from Greg Roman because that's not what he does. So it's an interesting question. It's kind of chicken and the egg. Were the Ravens unable to establish the run on Sunday simply because they didn't have their guys? And if they get their guys back, they're going to go right back to being that team? Or is that not really what they think they are any longer? Do they say, hey, we're not the team that's going to run the ball a billion times? And that doesn't mean they're not going to run the ball. Every team runs the ball. But are we going to be a team that is more predicated? It's a shame we're not, for some reason, we're not finding Baldy this morning because it kind of walks hand in hand with what he was talking about in his breakdown of Lamar in the pocket. Lamar almost obsessively stayed in the pocket. Well, if you're trying to replicate 2019, that sure as hell isn't what Lamar Jackson would be doing. If you were trying to replicate 2019, then when a running lane was there, you'd have Lamar take that running lane and go get the yards. Now, there was a running lane on the first touchdown pass, the one with almost no separation to Devin Duvernay. There was a running lane there for Lamar to take. He didn't, and he turned out he made just a brilliant throw. So, yeah, I definitely have said that my belief is that they would try to replicate something more like 2019, and that's why they ran it back with Greg Roman, and that's why they didn't obsess over wide receiver this offseason, and that's why tight end was more of a priority in, did I sound like I was Southern there? Tight end? During the NFL draft. Yes, I believe that was their way of telling you, this is who we are. We're not getting away from it. And what do I make of it after one game? It's a fair question, Derek. I wanted to be dismissive of it. I just want to say, dude, it's week one. Settle down. But I get the question that you're asking. The first taste that we have of the Baltimore Ravens this season, they were not obsessed about running the ball, neither in establishing the run game with their backs or specifically with their quarterback. So if that was going to be the case, if they wanted to move towards more of Lamar in the pocket and him staying in the pocket and throwing the ball, should they have moved on from Greg Roman? Maybe. Now, again, you got to give him time. I know we don't like doing this because once we decide we don't like somebody, they don't get. If they're trying to evolve a Greg Roman offense, then we got to allow that to play out this year and then judge it then. As I said, for 1 week, I actually thought that, he called a pretty good game. But, where did that go from here? Yeah, it's possible we get to the end of the year and I say I'm not sure in hindsight that was the right call. I don't know. It is a reasonable, fair question that we have only one game worth of evidence in order to look at. What this could end up looking like in the couple of weeks. And it also could be that once they decided that J.K. Dobbins wasn't playing in this game and that they knew they weren't going to have Ronnie Stanley, they worked up a different specific game plan for this game and the opponent they were facing, that they would say, hey, that might not be the same game plan in future weeks. That might not be what we go back to in week 1, or sorry, week 1's past us, in week 2 or in week 4 or wherever it would be. I know it's the only evidence we have, so it is in our inclination to overreact to that evidence. And it's far different than when you guys overreact to something in the preseason. I'm not trying to be dismissive of Isaiah Likely. I still like Isaiah Likely. I still think Isaiah Likely is an NFL player, but it's a reminder of why we don't obsess over what these guys do when they're going up against XFL players in the preseason. It was the same crap that we pulled with Tyson Williams a year ago. We're like, this guy looks great. He could solve the Ravens' running back problems. He's not an NFL running back. I think Isaiah Likely is an NFL tight end. I want to make that abundantly clear. And I'm not going to overreact to one game. But it is more relevant than anything he did in the preseason. I get it. It's an actual NFL game. We've got some amount of evidence. But what exactly that evidence is and how we use it and what we learn from it, I'm not sure that I have those answers. I'm not sure that I know exactly what that means for this team long term. But it's interesting. It's a noteworthy observation, Derek. I'm not willing to be utterly and completely dismissive of the fact that Lamar was staying in the pocket and they were not forcing the issue as far as trying to run the ball whatsoever. Two other things that jumped out at me. One, I know everybody associates me with the Suns because I'm a Suns fan, so I had a bunch of people ask me about the Robert Sarver thing. It's gross. I mean, it's beyond gross. I guess there's a twofold thing here. One, if I did radio in Phoenix, I would be up in arms because I would have that responsibility. I would be losing my mind that Robert Sarver continues to get to be the owner of the basketball team. I would be screaming from the mountaintops. But I don't do radio in Phoenix. Nobody around here really cares, I don't think. I don't think anybody in this market cares whether Robert Sarver gets to continue to be the owner of the Phoenix Suns or not. So I'm not going to waste any time losing my mind about that in a market where nobody cares. As a fan, out. Now, somebody would say that's easier to do because nobody's really ever liked Robert Sarver all that much. He's not been a popular owner. I get it. He has been the owner as the Suns have come back into relevance in recent years, but it was a disaster before that. There's always been some things that were being said about Robert Sarver, maybe not to this depth. Maybe that, screaming the N-word around is just, it's unfathomable. I mean, what in the hell are you doing? And I get that his argument is that in context, he would say, well, I didn't do it in a derogatory way. Well, there is no way to use that word. You don't get to say, well, I'm just quoting someone, I'm just repeating someone, or what. No, none of that. It's not okay, ever, 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 ever. And any adult with a brain should know that. There's no excuse to be an adult. There's really no excuse for a child, but there's definitely no excuse for an adult to think that that's okay. And obviously there's a litany of other things that are in there. It's a heavy penalty to say you can't be around the team for a year and you're getting fined $10 million. I get it. Robert Sarver is extraordinarily wealthy, and so $10 million is not the end of the world to him, but to pretend like it's not a lot of money would be unfair. It is a lot of money. There's no way of passing that off. $10 million is a lot of money. Do I think that Robert Sarver should be forced to sell the team? Yes, 100%. I think he should be forced to sell the team. I get that that's complicated. Somebody's got to be ready to buy the team and all those things. And I don't know where the NBA is with all of that. I don't know why they're going to choose. I know that the immediate comparison that's being made within the NBA is the comparison to Donald Sterling and the LA Clippers. I don't know what the circumstances are. I mean, I think Donald Sterling's pure evil might have been a bit more overwhelming. He was also later on in his life, so there was going to have to be a change at some point. Maybe all of that made it easier, and maybe they knew that Steve Ballmer specifically was interested in the Clippers, and that made all of that more palatable. I don't know. I would presume there's another wealthy individual who will be ready to step in and want to own an NBA team and print money. That would be my gut. It wouldn't be very hard to find it. The Suns I think also are not quite as nationally media relevant as the Clippers. And I know that sounds kind of funny because the Clippers were a punchline for a long time, but they're still in Los Angeles. They're still in the second biggest market in the country. Now, actually, Phoenix become one of the bigger markets, but they're still kind of tucked away, and things that happen in Phoenix never really seem to be all that prominent throughout the country. So I think the NBA maybe in part believes that this story will go away. That as ugly as it was, as many embarrassing things as Robert Sarver did, the story ultimately goes away. But should he be forced to sell the team? Yeah. I mean, I think so. Brett Favre, that whole thing, should Brett Favre be in jail? Maybe. I mean, he's not the government employee, so I think the government employee, the former governor, is the one that probably faces. He went along with the scheme, but I don't know that he abused his power because despite the fact that we know that Brett Favre is a powerful figure, I don't know that he has. I'm not sure that what he did. I don't know enough. I'm going to have to claim stupidity here. It's evil. There's no question that it's evil. There's no question that Brett Favre is a scumbag. We can't. There can be no ambiguity there. Brett Favre is a scumbag. Period. End of sentence. And this damn well better bring to the end the hero worship of Brett Favre. We've known enough in the past. We got the text messages now. There's no ambiguity here. Brett Favre knew exactly what he was doing. He knew why he didn't want the media to find out about it. He knew all of those things. He was going along with a scheme to defraud the government and to use welfare money in one of the poorest states in the country to build a volleyball facility for his daughter's volleyball team. Now, somebody would say, hey, state universities spend monies in ways that we don't like all the time. This one was a bit more direct in where they were diverting the funds from in order to go there. There's no way around it. And there has been enough of Brett Favre fraud scheme that we don't have to sit back and question whether or not Brett Favre is a scumbag. Brett Favre is a scumbag. Of course, we also knew that maybe from the Jen Sturger incident once upon a time, but for whatever reason, that wasn't enough. And you know what? Jen Sturger wrote something really great on a really incredible thread, really powerful. Monica Lewinsky had a really powerful thread this week about Ken Starr. Jen Sturger wrote something really powerful as well on Twitter. I'd encourage you to go look at it. Jen Sturger.
No fees or minimums.
I don't know what that is, but it's not interesting for us, so we'll move on from that. We should have. And I failed too. I remember having Brett Favre on my radio show after that and sort of still playing along because I just remember us as a country, we were willing to give him, I don't know if it was a second chance or what it was. We should have known better, and I signed myself up on that list. I should have known better. I think it was also the infancy of the internet. It was kind of a Wild Wild West thing, and, you know, we all failed. Every single one of us, myself included, failed. There has been an ungodly amount of evidence about Brett Favre's scumbaggery. And it just continues to pile up. And this has got to be the end. This has got to be... I don't know if anything that he did, he can be charged with a crime. Because, again, I don't know... I mean, he participated in a scheme to defraud. I mean, there's no question about that. So perhaps... I shouldn't say I don't know. There's got to be a world in which that is illegal. But Jesus Christ, man. I mean, the height of scumbaggery. And there can be not a drop of hero worship for Brett Favre ever again. You don't just get to say, yeah, but he was a hell of a quarterback. F that. He's trash. He's garbage as a human being. End of story. All right, hour number 1 in the books. Who knows if we'll end up catching up with Brian Baldinger. It'd be neat, but if it doesn't happen, such is life. Been a weird week. Got to get all that worked out. Today's show also brought to you, or just a reminder that Stan the Fan has had a busy week. He caught up with Jim Duquette on Monday. Jim Duquette didn't bail on him. He caught up with him. Had a great conversation. Also had a good conversation with Terry Hasseltine yesterday, doing an exit interview related to the inaugural Maryland Cycling Classic. So you can find those shows right now, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Click on the videos tab, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. When we come back in, this is the guy that'll actually post. Why couldn't it be him? Why couldn't it 1 week work the other way? The guys that we want show up, and the guys, this guy doesn't post. Drew Forrester, drewsmorningdish.com will join us next. Glenn Clark Radio. Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The 2022 baseball season is in full swing, and the future is brighter than ever for your Baltimore Orioles. I'm Paul Valley.
And I'm Zach Goodman.
And together we bring you the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon with everything you need to know about the Orioles and baseball as a whole. From veterans like Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, and Ryan Mountcastle,
to young stars like Adley Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez, and DL Hall.
We've got you covered for every game, every pitch,
and every debut.
You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or you can listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So join us live on the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
Come in for Glory Burgers, Glory Wings. There's glory for everyone at Glory Days Grill. Enjoy their award-winning burgers, ribs, and wings, or try the fresh salads, hand-cut salmon, or the scrumptious sandwiches. Yum! Come in for the daily specials every weekday, like $7.99 burgers on Mondays and $6.99 nachos on Thursdays. Dine in and let us serve you, or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and take it home. That's glorydaysgrill.com for a location near you. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
It's statistically proven that the show sounds better if you're not wearing pants. Like me. Right now. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, back in here on GCR. Today's show is also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Continue to get me your responses at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter. Apparently, I left out Tyler Huntley's name on the tweet and the Facebook post. I apologize. I have fixed that. I think that most people should have been able to figure that out, and I feel like you did. But a couple people were struggling with it. Yes, the scenario number one, it's Tyler Huntley, the name that I left out there. Joining us now, for better or for worse, from drewsmorningdish.com, he is Drew Forrester. What's going on, pal? How are you?
I wouldn't be disrespecting Huntley all that much. If Lamar 3 more games, Huntley might be the starter.
Why?
Well, Lamar stinks it up. We gotta win some football games, man.
What is that? Like, what? You do a lot of bits. right? And some of them, I don't even know what this bit is. Like, I don't know what this character is.
Dude, that guy went 3-0 in the preseason. He lit everybody up.
That's a great point. They did go 3-0 in the preseason. That's a great point.
I am constantly amazed. I wrote this on Monday morning. The headline was, "You guys are going to drive yourself nuts." I am amazed at how many people take umbrage with stuff that is written or said about Lamar and spend their entire Sunday fighting with people who don't even know who they are. Fighting with people on the internet about what people write about Lamar. You know in advance what they're going to write. None of it's a surprise.
I understood in the
none of it's a surprise,
right? And I understood in the off season we were bored, right? Like I always say this, we're bored. We don't have a game to talk about.
Right.
There's nothing else going on. They're not signing anybody. The draft's passed. We sit around waiting for football because the world revolves around football, and there's no football to talk about. So you remember my theory once upon a time that Orioles fans, it was the winning replacement theory that they had.
Right. Sure.
Like, hey, we can't win on the field, so let's try to win in the fights that we have with other people.
Right.
This is just I'm bored theory. Like, I really do. In the off season, I just genuinely believe people are bored waiting for football because it's what this country revolves around at this point. So I kind of get it. I still think some of it's embarrassing, but I kind of get it. Now the season's started. Like, what are we doing here? There are games.
I said the other day, I said I just was, writing stuff like, watching the games. And I said, after an uneven first half, I thought he was exceptional in the second half. You would have thought, I mean, I got people screaming at me. I'm like, all I said was he had an uneven first half. I didn't say he was a bad guy.
Yeah, well,
I just said he had an uneven first half.
There is
uneven means
it's really
some
funny.
good,
dude. I don't
some
know.
not so good.
It is really weird because I also struggle with how much I want to criticize Lamar only because so much of it gets lumped into all of the so much of what we see nationally is nonsense. It's people that don't watch. They have no clue what they're talking about. They've just decided to say something like he runs too much, which, by the way, I am convinced.
Well, but wait, you know why they're doing it? And this is, we get back to this all the time. These people that write stuff about him, they've been saying that for 2 years.
Well, they can't escape from it, right?
And any movement off of their narrative will result in people saying, "Gotcha. Told you were wrong 2 years ago."
Right.
So you got to stay with it.
But I don't know.
You're bound to it.
I don't know what Steve Young said about Lamar Jackson 2 years ago, right? Like, I don't know what he said about the Ravens offense. All I know is that in some instances, this goes back to being bored. There's just nothing to talk about in August. And so all these shows are still on, and they just keep saying things, and they just say things for the sake of saying them. They don't know what they're talking about. They just say it because you got to fill 3 hours during the course of the day on multiple networks, and somebody's got to say something in those circumstances. They're not going to talk about whatever the golf tournament is that's going on in August, or they're not going to talk about the ATP stop in Cincinnati. They're just going to keep talking about the same things. But I can dismiss that. I can come on and I can say, hey, Steve Young couldn't tell you what happened in a Ravens playoff game 2 years ago. He has no clue how it is they fell short of winning a championship. I can be dismissive of those things. This weekend to me was actually fascinating. Not that people mad at you. I mean, if they were mad at you, I agree with them. I just want to make that abundantly clear.
Right.
You were probably wrong. But this weekend was fascinating to me. And I kind of wrote about it. Whatever your opinion is about the circumstances, I keep coming back to we are watching something really significant unfold in front of our eyes, which is a quarterback trying to fight to change the way that contracts work in football. A team trying to fight like hell to not participate with that, but who clearly does not want to move on from their quarterback. They want to give him more money than even Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray got to play quarterback. This is really interesting. And when we dumb it down and just say things like, well, they got to pay Lamar, or, whatever it is that we want to say, we miss the point of we're watching kind of a seminal moment in the history of football play out right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, I mean, the contract thing is probably the wackiest of all of the discourse about Lamar and all of the give and take. Like, you can watch him play and render an opinion that I don't even want to say might not be popular, but that might be off the rails a little, which is sort of what Steve Young said. They need to make the offense more sophisticated.
What does that even mean?
Okay, right. But the contract thing is really it's a reporting. You've shifted from opinion to reporting. And I would contend, I don't think anyone has reported it correctly. I think people have heard things, taken bits and pieces of what they've heard, pieced it together, got a source who heard from a friend that the NFLPA, I don't know that anyone has it right.
I don't disagree with that. I don't know that anybody has it completely right. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people have it awfully close. Yes, I agree that I don't think everybody has it completely right. I would say that that's what happens when.
I mean, I think we all know that. I think we all know the whatever you want to call it, the bullet points of this thing, right? It all stems from the guaranteed money, stems from previous contracts that have been signed that have not artificially, but have increased the value of quarterbacks in the off season when the quarterbacks haven't done anything yet to increase their value, right? This guy signed a contract in Cleveland. He never even played a game in Cleveland.
Right.
So many strange things are happening. And I think we all know the main point is Lamar wants either all of it or some extraordinarily substantial part of it guaranteed.
To your point, I have, again, and I don't know everything, but I have heard that maybe if the guarantees were over $200 million but weren't fully guaranteed, that would be enough. That he does want fully guaranteed, but maybe if the guarantees were at least over $200 million, that might be enough to bridge the gap. The Ravens haven't gone there.
And I would say this would be here's my junior varsity narrative of how I think this happened. I would say that at some point, I don't even know when this is, June, July, whenever, but at some point, Eric said, and I am totally making this number up, but I mean, I think they're all in the ballpark. Eric called Lamar and said, "Look, let's put this thing to bed. How does 240 and 150 guaranteed sound?" And Lamar said, "It sounds $50 million too short both ways. When you get to 290, 200, call me, and we'll move forward." And Eric said, "Well, we're not doing that. That's not the number. This is the number. This is what we feel is fair. This is what's in line with, however they calculate it." And Lamar said, "Well, okay, but you heard me. And I'm not mad at you." And Eric says, "I'm not mad at you either." And Lamar said, "And if we don't get this done by Labor Day or September 11, we'll just table it." And Eric might have called him back the 3rd of September and said, "Where are we?" And Lamar said, "We're in the same place we were when I talked to you before.
Right.
If it's $200 million, I'll come in tomorrow and sign it. And if it isn't, I'll see you in February." I keep saying this over and over. I really think, and this is very rare, I really think there's a strong possibility that both of these guys are right. I really do. I think personally, I think the Ravens would be insane to guarantee this guy's deal fully. And I also think Lamar looks at it and says, "Dude, if I don't do anything, and you franchise me two years, and this year I'm going to make $110 million in 3 years.
And that's fully guaranteed each year.
Right. So, like, I see, this is so weird, right? I can definitely look at both sides of this and say, you guys are both right.
So,
like,
what's interesting to me,
Lamar is just taking the Deshaun Watson contract and saying, it isn't my, and the Ravens are doing this too.
Right.
The Ravens are saying, it's not our fault the Browns are dumb.
Right, and it's not.
And Lamar's saying,
yes,
it's not my fault the Browns are dumb.
And by the way, not only do I see the both sides, I have come around a little bit more on one part of this. I have come around a bit more on if this really comes down to either you've got to give the guy a fully guaranteed contract or not have a quarterback, I'm gonna end up balking at that. Have your quarterback. I mean, if it really does get to that black and white, that you get to a point where you say, we're just going to have to trade him, we don't have a choice, that's a bad decision. That's a piss-poor decision to say, we want to make a statement so badly that we're going to end up trading our quarterback over it. That I disagree with. Now, I'm all for them dragging their feet on it, right? Like, I agree is the wrong way of saying it. I understand why they don't want to do it, and the NFL doesn't want this, and Steve Bisciotti's got to answer to all of those guys. But at the end of the day, saying either I'm going to make a stand to the rest of the owners or not have the quarterback that I've done so much to build my franchise around and just hope for the best afterwards, that's where I'm going to end up finding my breaking point. Like, no, thinking that you're making a principled stand is not more valuable than having a quarterback at the end of the day. But I do get it. I get why they're dragging their feet and trying to let more quarterback deals get done to turn around and say, dude, the market's not there. Like, you think there's a market for a guaranteed contract, and you're wrong. There have been 4 more quarterback deals since then. They're not there. You're not getting that. Now, maybe Lamar knows there is a team. Maybe he already knows right now that if he goes through this thing, the Dolphins will wait him out, and they'll give him a guaranteed contract, so he's got that in his back pocket, and he can sit on that for forever. But
we can't do that. That would be tampering.
Well, I know, and that never happens, of course, in the NFL. We would never see anything like that. But clearly, the Ravens are trying to make a statement, and they're saying, okay, let's wait it out. If during the course of the year, between now and next spring, a Burrow deal gets done, and there's zero chance that the Bengals are giving Joe Burrow guaranteed money. They don't even give people real money in Cincinnati. I mean, I think they give him IOUs or something like that. If Justin Herbert doesn't get a fully guaranteed, they've got more evidence to go back with and say, this isn't the market. The market's not there. And so I have no problem with them dragging their feet. There is still no deadline. Like, we keep using the term deadline. There's no deadline here. Lamar instituted his own personal deadline, but he can change his mind in 2 weeks if he wants to. There's no penalty for that. Like, if he wakes up 2 weeks from now and is like, you know what, I don't really want to risk the whatever the 2% chances.
He could call Eric and say the deal's still on the table.
Correct. And there is no deadline here. So for the Ravens to
say, by the way, don't discount, because I think you and I have said this for a while, and I think we're right. I want to say I know we're right, but I think we're right. Like, he's under an enormous amount of pressure from the NFLPA. There is no question about that. He's getting guidance from them. He's getting, guidance is the only word, right? He's getting mentored or guidance from them. Don't discount at all that Steve isn't getting some phone calls either.
There's no question. There is no question.
He's definitely getting phone calls.
There are 30 other owners that are hell-bent on him
right.
not doing this, that say, dude, we're not turning this into a CBA negotiation right now. We're not allowing for guaranteed contracts to come out. I do think at some point I'm going to write. The argument will be, what makes us all so goofy, of course, is there's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to all of this. Every quarterback's contract is guaranteed. No quarterback is getting cut. You can't do it because the dead space on the cap would kill you. So it's a little bit wink, wink, nudge, nudge that Lamar's fighting so much about it and the Ravens are fighting so much against it. Because at the end of the day, whatever the contract's going to be, he's going to get every penny, and the most likely scenario is they're going to go back to him at some point and say, dude, we're in cap trouble. We need to give you more money than that in order to buy us out of the cap trouble that we're in.
You sign for $290, you're actually going to get $330, but you're going to have to wait a year to get the rest of it.
100%. That's the way this ends up working with the quarterback. So there's also this context where it's all kind of hilarious that we're fighting about this, because the truth is the quarterback money's going to end up being guaranteed no matter what. So why do we care so much about it? Like, what are we so worried about in terms of guaranteed money when the quarterbacks always get their money? They always, in the history of time, have gotten their money because you cannot afford to cut a quarterback. It would kill you. You would have $30 million, whatever it would be, $40 million of sunk space on your cap you couldn't spend on anything else. So even if the quarterback ends up stinking, you keep him on the roster because it's better than giving up that money for nothing. Like,
no doubt. No doubt.
It's insane.
I don't think that. I don't think they're going to get anything done in the season. I think that they'll table it. I think they want to sign him. I don't know, man.
Yeah, and that's the part. The part that you are, and I know you've talked about it a little bit, and I know Lock and Four, like a maniac, went on a radio show and said something about it the other day. That I'm not telling you, I don't think the Ravens are going to trade Lamar Jackson. I don't think they want to trade Lamar Jackson. I think they want to give him a boatload of money to be their quarterback, and we know that. But there is some point where if one side says, this is my line in the sand, and the other side says, this is my line in the sand, I don't know where you go from there. Like, at some point, you might have to have the conversation. And that's where I would step in and say, that's a mistake. Like, I would not allow you believing you're making a stand to be what ultimately allows you to move on from a quarterback that is a very high-level player and is working out. Like, it's the identity of your franchise. I would not do that. But I get why at some point the conversation might come up. I do understand that at some point.
Right. And I also think part of the discussion of all of this, and I don't, maybe the question Eric doesn't want to ask, right? I mean, it would be interesting to know, and maybe don't know until next year, but it would be interesting to say to Lamar, dude, shoot straight with us. Do you want to play in Miami? Like, just be honest with us. Is that what this is about? Because if it is, okay. I mean, we'd be heartbroken, and
yeah, I find
guys are fine.
The guy got a tattoo of purple wings on his chest, man. Like,
I get that, but dude, there's this from. I mean, you and I are both still home,
right?
But you were once away.
Yeah, no, I know.
I
understand.
You came back, right?
I understand.
I mean, there's something to be said for that. I don't want to get into a whole sociological discussion about Lamar and his upbringing and his mother and the absence of a father or whatever. I don't want to get into all that, but he's extraordinarily close to his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And, when mom says, it sure would be cool if you were down here playing and I'd be cooking for you and you could be hanging out with me. And, I mean, Lord knows, I mean, my mom's been gone for 30 years, but, we'd all love to hear that kind of commentary from our mother, right? Like,
no, I get it.
Come home to me, right? So,
yeah.
I don't know. I
just don't
I bring that up to just say, I think that you would love to know the real answer to that.
Right. I think that scenario is more significant in other sports. Like, you're only away for 4 months here. You know what I mean? Like, it's barely. He lives in Florida. That's where he is. That's where home is. I just don't know that it's all that. I think that a lot's made of that. I think it would be more if he happens to know that the Dolphins have my God, the Dolphins couldn't have tried to do more to move on from Tua Tagovailoa in the offseason. They tried to sell the franchise to Tom Brady, and they tried to get Deshaun Watson. So that was clear. Maybe as they were having all those conversations, they came back to him and said, dude, just so you know, whenever we get the chance, we're going to give you that fully guaranteed deal. And maybe that's the part. That, to me, is more significant than the tug of home, is does he know that there is a team, and the Dolphins would make sense given how badly we know they were trying to move on from their quarterback this offseason. It would make sense for it to be them that said, if we get the opportunity to, we will give you every penny. You can have $250 million fully guaranteed from us the moment you get the chance. And if he knows that's on the table, then it's relevant. It's relevant. There's no doubt.
Right. Yeah, it's been a crazy story for. I mean, you and I said this in March. It's the craziest story.
Yep.
that we've been around for a long time. I mean, because of his just everything, because of his ability, his unique ability, juxtaposed against, for whatever weird reason so far, and we can slice this and dice this however we want, he hasn't had a lot of success in the playoffs. Now, last year, he would have had another chance to prove himself if the thing wouldn't have capsized on him and everybody else. But, it's just an incredibly complicated story that got 10 times more incredibly complicated when the Browns went and gave a guy a contract who's never done anything in his career.
That's all of these things. There are so many layers to it, man. It remains to me the most fascinating thing. It's just
I sounded like Bisciotti there because that's what
100%.
I'm
100% cursing them.
I'm sure
no
Steve has
question.
called the guy from the Browns and been like, "What are you doing?"
Thanks a lot, a-hole. All right, let's do Would You Rather Wednesday. Would You Rather Wednesday is brought to you by Glory Days Grill, where today the fall seasonal menu is now available. It includes the chicken schnitzel. They've got a new Bavarian burger with a pretzel bun. I can't wait to try it. You can get to your neighborhood Glory Days Grill, glorydaysgrill.com, in order to get your order in and try everything on the Oktoberfest menu. Number one, Drew, would you rather? The Cowboys, let's go, we bring it full circle. The Cowboys actually got worse news. Dak Prescott's going to be out longer than they thought, and they call and they say, yep, third-round pick, we'll give it up for you. Give us Tyler Huntley. Or, no, you can't do that when you're trying to win a Super Bowl and you've got a backup quarterback that you trust.
Yeah, I'm not giving up Huntley for a third-round pick. I'm sorry.
If I said second round, would you change your mind?
Well, I'm thinking here again. The real question is the value of the pick. I guess isn't as important as the answer to this question. Can we really win with him? And I say that it's a rhetorical question. If something happened to Lamar, remember when the Eagles, when Wentz got hurt, he was having a great year. Almost was going to be the MVP of the league.
He was phenomenal. The best year by far.
And he got hurt. He got hurt in December.
Yep. Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl. Yes.
Foles came in and won the Super Bowl. The same exact thing happened to the Raiders. Either the year after that, Carr, they were great. They were going to get home ice for the whole playoffs. Carr got hurt in December. They lost a couple they shouldn't have lost. And then they went maybe to Houston and got absolutely run out of the gym.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So the question is, if that happened to us in December, and we were, I'm making the numbers up, we're 10-3 or 10 and whatever, and Lamar's done for the year with a collarbone, can Huntley take us to the Super Bowl? Can he win 2 of the last 4, and then we still have home ice in the playoffs, and can he win those 2? To me, you have to make that, and I know there is no answer, right? You have to let the games play out. But if you're the Ravens, you have to ask yourself that question, and you got to be honest. Because if the answer to the question is yes, you don't trade him.
I don't think that you can, but I do still think the price matters here, right? Because to me it's about what happens if he misses 2 games in the season, and you need those 2 games in the season. And that's why, to me, the answer for a second rounder would be yes, a third rounder would be no. We gotta plug these others in. Number 2, I don't know if you saw it. Did you see what the Kentucky football team had as a celebratory dinner after beating Florida this weekend?
I did not.
They roasted an entire alligator, which is just it's a 10.5. It's outstanding. Okay. So you just won a big football game. Congratulations. Would you rather your celebratory dinner be an entire roasted alligator, or the low-rent fast food smorgasbord that Clemson had at the White House a couple years ago?
Well, I've never had alligator.
Really?
No.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
I think I'll go with fast food. If it's
you know it better.
Glory Days or Chick-fil-A, I'm in.
The Glory Days isn't fast food, dog, and it wasn't Chick-fil-A. It was low.
I know, but
it was low-rent fast food. It was
okay. Gotcha.
It was the stuff the last guy liked. That was the problem. And then number 3. Would you rather?
Well, you saw what it did for the president's physique.
Yeah, I know. It looked great. His doctor said he was in a peak physical shape.
Well, he was 239.
Yeah, he was exactly 1 pound off of being morbidly obese. Amazing how that works. Incredible how he was exactly 1 pound off. It's nuts. And then number 3, I don't know if you saw it, but in Rolling Stone, Steph Curry says the Warriors did indeed try to trade for Kevin Durant this offseason. So you're Steph Curry. Would you rather trade for Durant and likely improve your chances of winning more titles, or not trade for Durant because you'd rather try to go win titles without him, therefore improving your legacy?
I don't know, man. I feel like I don't follow the NBA enough to probably make an educated answer to this, but I feel like Durant has, like, lost it. I don't know. Every time I read something, people are talking about how nuts he is, and he's got a burner Twitter account, and he's like insane. So I don't know the answer, but I think I would just try to win without him. I need to follow the NBA more, but it seems to me like everyone that follows the NBA says Durant's crazy.
I get it. I mean, they did win 2 titles. I don't know if you remember. They won 2 titles with him. Like they did.
Yeah, no.
Right.
He's a great basketball player.
There's no doubt. All right, what's coming up at Drew's Morning Dish?
Hey, baby, we're still in the wild card race. We're writing about baseball. Still alive.
Sure they are. Sure they are.
They're still alive, dude.
Yeah.
If they win tonight and they win these 3 in Toronto, they're right back in it.
Yeah, that's
so. Don't,
they're right back.
Don't give me that garbage about they're not in it, or I'll get mad at you. They're in it.
All right.
It's September the 14th, and they are still in it.
It's a hooded foreign.
And they're getting good pitching still. They're not. Their pitching's not been terrible.
I understand. It's the offense that's the problem. That's why it's hard for me to even. All right, this is a conversation for another day. DrewsMorningDish.com. It's a hooded 4-iron on Twitter. Appreciate you, Pat. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Go Ravens.
It's Drew Forrester checking in with us here on a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of GCR. Hey, today's show is also brought to you by Guilford Hall Brewery. The best place. Oh, my God, what an immaculate establishment this is. 1611 Guilford Avenue in Station North. It's incredible. Craft beer selections, remarkable. Bavarian menu, delicious. And they got a huge Oktoberfest party coming up on September 24th. It's free admission, but there's also 2 VIP ticket options available. The first being an all-you-can-drink ticket for $30. The second being an all-you-can-eat and drink ticket for $80. You can get those tickets by going to guilfordhall.com. Again, guilfordhall.com in order to get your tickets for their huge Oktoberfest party, which is coming up on September 24th. I'm going to need to clear my schedule so I can be a part of it that day. I wasn't planning on taking a break. That wasn't what I was doing there. I thought you said I was basing it around the time that you told me. That was the way that I went about handling my business. Continue to get me your responses at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter for Would You Rather Wednesday. Somebody is going to win a $25 gift card to Glory Days Grill, which you can use to try out their new Oktoberfest menu. Again, glorydaysgrill.com is the website. Respond at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter or facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio to participate in Would You Rather Wednesday. Ravens will get back on the practice field today as they start shifting focus to the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. Of course, probably going to be a bit of a tougher test than what the Ravens had with the Jets in Week 1. Dolphins won comfortably, although the people that I did not watch any of the game in Week 1 between the Dolphins and the Patriots, because why would I be doing that? I was obviously watching the Ravens. Those that watched it seemed to actually not be all – it was weird. Where, like, on paper you look at it and say, wow, they kicked the Patriots' asses. And then you talk to people who watch the game who are like, yeah, they were okay. Like, they were fine. I'm like, oh, all right. I don't know what to make of it. But I think at least we can accept that it will be a more difficult test than the Jets, because the Jets weren't a difficult test at all. You will be able to listen to the game on Sunday via Compass Media Network's national radio broadcast. And the man who will be on the call for Sunday's game, one of our all-time favorites. You watch Baldy's breakdowns on Twitter, and you can hear him again on Compass Media on Sunday for Ravens-Dolphins. He is the great Brian Baldinger, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Baldy, it's Glenn. Always good to catch up, sir. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Yeah, thank you, Lane. Good to be with you. Sorry it was a little late on the previous hour, but things kind of
ran
late. So I'm here now, Glenn. So
yes,
I'm good.
For you, we will move mountains for you, my friend.
All right,
Baldy.
All right.
I of course I'm a regular viewer of Baldy's breakdowns on Twitter, and I watched the one you did on Lamar staying in the pocket. And I'm going to ask you this question, and I hope you know why it is that I'm asking it this way. It was remarkable. He hung in the pocket. He clearly wanted to allow plays to develop, wanted to get the ball downfield. One of the things I've noticed going back to last season is there were times where I actually thought maybe the better strategy was for Lamar to take off and run, and they were running lanes. And clearly on the touchdown to Duvernay, there was a lane, but it was a much smarter decision to throw the ball into the end zone. But what do you make of where he is as far as making those decisions, trying to let plays develop versus he is Lamar Jackson, he has a skill set that no one else has. Sometimes the better option might be to take the running lane that's in front of him.
I totally agree with you, Glenn. And I saw the same thing. When he ran for 1,200 a couple years ago and he's the unanimous MVP of the league, I would say that most of the good runs in the game were drop-back passes where he saw lanes and the defense expanding into their zones or playing man coverage, whatever they're doing to stop the passing game, and he took off and he took what the defense gave him, and he was Lamar. But I still think that is an option, but I might be wrong. It's just one game. It's the Jets. The Jets defense is pretty good, but it looked like he made a real concerted effort. Maybe Glenn, maybe I'm reading too much into this. It is a contract year. Maybe he wants to show people that I can throw the ball just the way everybody else can throw it, and I'll show it to you. But I can also do things that nobody else can do, which is true. So I do think there's a fine balance there between just being Lamar and being the best athlete on the field versus, all right, I'll stay in there and I'll climb the pocket and I'll make the touchdown throw to Devin Duvernay.
Yeah, and Baldy, it's so funny you bring that up. I've always found it insane the way that people somehow think it's a negative that Lamar Jackson's an incredible runner.
Oh, I totally agree, Glenn. It's not a negative.
It's amazing. He's a really good thrower of the football who happens to be one of the greatest runners of the football we've ever seen. How is this why are we so set in our ways about what quarterbacks are supposed to be that we think this is some sort of problem instead of being the most incredible weapon that you could ever ask for in the NFL?
Well, because ultimately those guys haven't won the big prize. They haven't won the Super Bowl. They need one guy, whether it's Lamar or Justin Fields or, I don't know, Carson Wentz, somebody that runs the ball a lot. They need somebody to break through, and show that you can survive, that you can win this way. It has been early exits for Baltimore in the playoffs with them, and that stays with you as a quarterback until you break through.
He is Brian Baldinger. He'll be on the call Sunday for Ravens-Dolphins on Compass Media Networks. He's with us here on GCR. Baldy, the run game obviously was off in general for the Ravens in Week 1, and it can't work. You can't get that little from your run game and try to go win a Super Bowl in the AFC as loaded as it is. But what do you make of it being still about not having Dobbins and Edwards on the field and not having Ronnie Stanley versus maybe there being, I don't know, some sort of new concerted effort from the Ravens to try to throw the ball more?
Well, I don't know if Kenyon Drake or Mike Davis are the answer right now, but Patrick McCarry, he's the backup to the backup to the backup at left tackle. That's just where they're at right now. And so you would not consider this a really strong offensive line or a strong blocking offensive line. Now, their tight ends can block well, and, Ricard is really good in his role, all that kind of stuff. But, when you have Isaiah Likely, who is going to be a really good player in this business, and you have Mark Andrews, you've got some opportunities to really big athletic tight ends to get the ball. They might be in transition here away from what we have watched for 4 years into something different because maybe that they have to. I don't expect Lamar to run for 17 yards in many games. I expect it to be a much higher number. But the fact is that they're not really powerful up front. We got to let Tyler Linderbaum play, let him, see what he can do in the middle. That would help, get him some experience and some snaps under his belt, because that's the future at that position. But it's not a strong group right now. And so some of the things that we watched them do when Stanley and Zeus and the group was there, you might not see that too much.
That's interesting. Obviously, they desperately need Stanley back on the field. I don't want to take anything away. Patrick McCary has done yeoman's work moving from position to position.
No doubt. I'm not here to take shots at McCary, but I mean, he's your utility infielder right now.
Yep. And they just desperately need Ronnie Stanley to be some semblance of Ronnie Stanley and back on the field. We'll see how that goes. What'd you make of Devin Duvernay, Baldy? Because I think it would be so critical for this offense to have one other weapon, a third guy on the field that defenses are forced to think about and pay attention to. And, that to me was one of the bigger things to me that came out of the Ravens Week 1 win.
No doubt. I mean, 2 touchdowns in a season, in a game, he's never done that. The first touchdown against Bryce Hall was a good route, had a lot of field to work, and Lamar put some air under it. He made a great catch, a contested catch by Bryce Hall in the corner of the end zone. He came down with it. Caught everything thrown to him. It was impressive. It was an impressive day by him. But, to have him and Bateman right now, it's the best. I don't remember, maybe Hollywood Brown maybe early on, but we haven't seen many games where the receivers came down with the 3 touchdown catches. We could see that from Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
But, you saw it from the receivers. I mean, Rashad Bateman, I don't know what the Jets are doing on the back end of their defense. I don't think they know what they were doing. But he ran right through him. And, Lamar flicked it 62 yards in the air, and it was a perfect throw. And, they've needed those type of plays. There is no Hollywood Brown to take the top off the defense. And Bateman did that. And it really put the final screw in that coffin on Sunday to do that. So it's always good to get touchdowns from your receivers and to get your receivers involved. And their 2 starting receivers did that.
Yeah, to your point, Baldy, I'm not sure how many times in Ravens history there have been games where all 3 touchdowns came from receivers. It is not something that we have seen a whole lot over the years. I know you did a breakdown of the Dolphins' defense. As we get ready for Sunday, what jumps out at you? They clearly were quite impressive against the Patriots in Week 1. What jumps out at you? What will the Ravens be seeing that maybe will be a little bit different or unique compared to what they saw from the Jets in Week 1?
Well, they're not going to – the Jets – they believe in their front 4 to get home. And so they're a 4-man rushing team. They don't blitz a lot. But the Dolphins turned their season around against the Ravens last year on Thursday night. And the Ravens were 2 for 14 on third downs. They couldn't penetrate. They didn't have an answer against their blitz zero look. They did that a little bit against the Patriots on Sunday, but they really weren't in a lot of third down situations. But they're going to see that on Sunday. They're going to see the same look they saw last year and variations of it where you're going to see 6, 7, 8 guys at the line of scrimmage. Maybe you see Javon Holland at free safety. Maybe you don't. Maybe he's at the line of scrimmage, blitzing off the edge, getting free hitters to Lamar to try to affect his throwing as quickly as they can. But they've got playmakers. I mean, Xavier Howard is as good as there is at just lining up and playing man coverage. Javon Holland is as good a free safety. There's Minka. There's some guys in this league that are great free safeties, but Javon is a star player. And they've got some pass rushers. Christian Wilkins, a good guy inside. Jalen Phillips, a young player coming off the edge. They've got playmakers on the defensive side of the football. And so you've got to be careful. I mean, Mac Jones got sacked off a delayed blitz. First touchdown of the season by the Dolphins was, a defensive touchdown by Melvin Ingram. So you got to know what you're looking at, especially on third downs against this defense.
What jumped out from the Ravens defense to me in Week 1, Baldy, was the play of the defensive tackles. I thought Justin Madubuike and Michael Pierce were dominant on, and I don't, again, how much of that is the Jets' offensive line. You're smarter than me. You can tell me a little bit more about it, but I'm wondering if it's just something that we learned about what a Mike McDonald defense might be in Baltimore, that we're so used to the Wink Martindale schemes and exotically bringing players. And I wonder if this is more going to be that during the course of the year, the Ravens are going to say, hey, we think these guys up front can get us more of a rush. And boy, if they can, considering how thin they are right now at edge rusher, and the fact that they've never really been able to replace Terrell Suggs with like a dominant edge rusher, boy, to me, it would go a long way this season what this defense can do if they can continually get that push from up front and disrupt plays in the backfield that way.
I would agree. I mean, look, the Jets paid Laken Tomlinson a lot of money to play left guard. And, Pierce and Madubuike just ruined them on some plays. They blitzed. I mean, Marcus Williams in a delayed safety blitz got home. I mean, it was a great call. Really great design. Jets didn't see it, and Marcus Williams came free right up the middle.
Yeah.
affected. Joe Flacco probably wished by the end of that first quarter that he was home playing with his 5 kids.
Right.
To be honest with you, I mean, he was running for his life. It was ugly. They were dominant. Justin Houston was really good. I don't think he's sizzle off the edge, but he was really good in his role. It'll be good, to see Jabo get in there and Travis Jones, and you got to give those guys some time. But it was a dominant performance by the defensive front, and in a game that was very, very close and tight for about a quarter and a half to maybe even the first half. The defensive line was the difference, and the Dolphins, did not run the ball real well the way Mike McDaniel would like. They're not a great offensive line. It's an opportunity for the Ravens to do a lot of what they just did on Sunday, and I think they're going to have to affect Tua, because the fact is that when you have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, from anywhere on the field at any point of the game, they could be dancing in your end zone.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it from Jalen Waddle in 4th and 7. I mean, split the safeties and got the ball on the run, and he was doing the Waddle in the end zone.
Right.
And you don't want to see that happen. I've seen plays that they threw last week to Tyreek. I don't even know if it's a play, to be honest with you. They just threw the ball up off motion, just let him go jump up and get it. So they got 2 guys that have as much speed and explosiveness as anybody in the league. And if you blink, and if you're wrong, and if you're not where you're supposed to be, they can go right by you.
Not that Marcus Peters necessarily nobody can single-handedly take out Tyreek Hill or something like that, but it would go a long way clearly for the Ravens to have Marcus Peters back for a game like this, given what it is they're up against. If I could go back, I know you brought up Linderbaum. I remember you doing a breakdown a couple weeks ago during the preseason about what you like so much about Linderbaum, and I know it was a tough day for him. And again, part of that being he didn't have a full preseason, and it's his first NFL game. Can you take me through why it is? Because everything we heard was this dude might, people talking about him as being maybe the best center to come out in a decade, something along those lines. What have you seen in Tyler Linderbaum? What do you think he can be for this franchise moving forward?
Well, he's kind of undersized, and you see that from sometimes where he can just get overpowered at times. But he's got tremendous first-step quickness, his ability to go reach defensive tackles, and he's powerful. I mean, he's a former wrestler, Salon, Iowa. I mean, small town. You wrestle, and you hope that you could play football for the Iowa Hawkeyes one day. That's your whole dream as a kid. That's kind of what he did. So he plays with great leverage from his wrestling days. The Ravens have had a bunch of guys that were great defensive players, Ray Lewis, Tony Siragusa, a bunch of guys that were great wrestlers growing up, and you see that type of athletic ability on the field, the way that they played. And so that's what he brings. He's a feisty, undersized kid that plays with great leverage, and he's got great quickness. I'll bet if he played racquetball, you probably couldn't get a ball by him. Wrestling, he's going to put you down on the mat. He's going to finish. He's got, he's got a great tenacity about the way that he plays. And so, look, he played 9 snaps in preseason. I mean, he just has to play. He'll figure things out. Blitzes and defensive schemes and 350-pound defensive tackles in this business. He's going to see a couple big guys. Raquan Davis is 6'8", 340 pounds on his nose. We got to see how he handles guys like that. Christian Wilkins is a really good defensive tackle. We'll see how he handles some of those guys inside for the Dolphins. They're not easy to handle.
No doubt. That will be a challenge. There's no question. Baldy, I'm going to wrap with this because we get ready for Sunday, Ravens-Dolphins on Compass Media. What is the biggest difference to you in where the Ravens are and maybe where the teams – I think most people believe it's the Bills and the Chiefs that are currently the top teams in the AFC. What's the biggest difference in where they need to be in order to close that gap and to have a chance to break through this year in what we know is just an insanely loaded conference?
I mean, everybody talked about the AFC West as being the best conference, but if you looked at week 1, I mean, just for Pittsburgh to go into Cincinnati – to see what Cleveland did and how good they looked. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, wasn't great, but he didn't have to be great because the defense was and the running game was. They're still, wait till they get Amari Cooper going, but he schooled 2 cornerbacks in that game. Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to be a big player for them. They're well coached. I mean, it's just a tough division. And, Pittsburgh took a big hit when they lost TJ. We'll see how long it's for, but It's a loaded division, so every one of those games is magnified as it always is in that division. But, it comes down to great quarterback play. The Steelers affected Joe Burrow, who's the best quarterback, passing-wise in the division. I'm sure Lamar has something to say about that. But their offense looked dreadful, but their defense was so good on so many different levels. And so, it's how your quarterback really plays on Sundays in that division. If Jacoby Brissett can be really good, they can be really good. I don't know that he can consistently do that, but we know Lamar can. And so, to me, they all have playmakers on defense across this whole league and across the division. It really comes down to great quarterback play. Joe Burrow was sacked 7 times. He was hit 11. He threw 3 interceptions. He fumbled twice, and they still could have won the game on the final play.
It's nuts.
They just couldn't kick an extra point. That's how good and resilient that group can be.
It is scary, actually, in a weird way. It's scary that you can struggle that much, and still, if you just had a long snapper,
exactly.
you would have won that game. That is crazy. At Baldy NFL on Twitter, of course, is how you follow him, see all of Baldy's breakdowns. And Sunday afternoon, Compass Media for Ravens-Dolphins. Look forward to seeing you here in Baltimore, brother. Always appreciate you taking the time for us. Thank you so much for doing this morning, my friend.
Thank you, Glenn. Can't wait to get there on Sunday. I'm looking forward to the game myself.
No doubt. Thanks, buddy. Brian Baldinger joining us here on GCR. He is very, very good. And by the way, I really did. It was we just retweeted the one that he did about Lamar staying in the pocket. And it's fascinating. It is fascinating because you see there are running lanes there, and I get it. He made a lot of great throws, and I know Lamar Jackson is a great thrower of the football. I know that. But there were also a good number of – he was not perfect on Sunday. Drew said he was uneven in the first half and got beat up for it, but I think that's fair. You can see it, and there are times where I just kind of wonder aloud if the better strategy might not have been to take the running lane that was there because you're Lamar Jackson. That's all. I'm not criticizing. I'm asking a question. Lord knows I don't know better than Lamar Jackson does. Today's show is also brought to you by the Tyus Bowser Show, which returns next Tuesday night. We will be at Skipjack's in Middle River. Looking forward to being on that side of town. Gonna be a lot of fun. I know it's a rabid area for Ravens fans. Tyus will be there with a special guest. The Tyus Bowser Show is a partnership of PressBox and Grade 8's Memorabilia. It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Grill. Find out more by going to PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. The Tyus Bowser Show next Tuesday night. Skipjack's in Middle River, September 20th. Look forward to seeing you there. You got some names for me?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You're stumped. You're not
come
going to
back
get any
in. Where in the hell do these players play now? And I looked at the rosters this week. We'll do that next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. See Olympic athletes in action as the nation's best horses and riders compete in one of the world's premier equestrian events at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Academy, October 13th through 16th in Cecil County. Don't miss the breathtaking excitement of the dynamic cross-country competition or the elegance of dressage and precision of show jumping. There's also great shopping and activities, including a fresh food fest, corgi race, and a beer, wine, and spirits showcase. So come enjoy a beautiful fall day at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th. Learn more and buy tickets at maryland5star.us.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Tuesday, brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
The Maryland Lottery presents Ravens' Greatest Plays. 2021, the game on the line. With 3 seconds left, the Ravens connect on an impossibly long 66-yard field goal to beat Detroit, the longest field goal in history. Another great Ravens play belongs to Touchdown Joe from Silver Spring. Joe scratched a Ravens scratch-off and won a top prize of $100,000. You could be next. Play Ravens scratch-offs to win instant cash or enter to win great second-chance prizes. Please play responsibly.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling. A complete outdoor cooking appliance, the Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone from novices to grill masters to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. Constructed out of thick ceramic, the Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com. That's ginsugrills.com.
Don't forget that full episodes of the show are available for free on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. But warning, you get what you pay for. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue on a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program. By the way, what were your Would You Rather Wednesday answers? Tyler Huntley.
So I'm inclined to say yes.
Okay.
I think a third-round pick is a great return for a backup quarterback.
I was trying to do the math on this before the show today because
when you said second-round pick, I was like, definitely.
I think if it was a second-round pick, everyone. I think you have to say yes if it's a second-round pick, which is why I made it third-round pick. I did also think, what if it was a second-round pick, but you have to give back a fourth, or a second-round pick, but you have to give back a third, right? Like, do you do it then? Like, if it was a second-round pick and you had to give back a third.
Nah. Well, I don't know.
If it was a second-round pick and you had to give back a fourth, I'd probably still say yes, right?
Second-round pick from the Cowboys, so maybe in the top half of the second round.
Maybe, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But ultimately, for a third, I think I'm doing. I don't know. That's really tough because I do. Again, I don't think you can win a Super Bowl if Lamar Jackson goes down. I think it's out the window. But if he were to miss 3 games in the middle of the season,
Tyler Huntley could get you by.
I think you believe that you could win 1 or 2 of them with Tyler Huntley, depending on who they were against. And so because of that, I'm inclined to say, hold on. And there's been a couple people that brought up, like, hey, I actually think Anthony Brown might be better than Tyler Huntley. And so, trade Huntley and elevate Anthony Brown to the active roster. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's really tough. Number 2, you eating the Gator, or do you want the low-end fast food?
Is Gator supposed to be? I've never had Gator either.
This is my only problem with Gator.
I was going to say obviously, but then you were surprised when Drew never had Gator.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised because Drew's traveled. Like, he's been to places where they eat Gator, so I'm a little bit surprised that he's never tried it.
Have you had it?
Yeah, I've had it. It doesn't do a lot for me.
Is it like chicken or?
That's what people tell you.
Yeah.
It's just chewier than that. Like, that's the problem to me, is like, it's fine. And I'd still probably say yes over the... No offense. I mean, this is difficult. I'm in a tough spot now because one of these fast food places now the sponsor of a show I do on the radio station, so I don't want to trash them too much. And as I said, like, as embarrassing as that whole spectacle was, if it had just been Chick-fil-A, everybody would have been fine. Like, if the dude had just served Chick-fil-A, I mean, there would be the...
Taco Bell would have been...
There would have been the... You love Taco Bell.
I do love
You're
Taco
the age
Bell.
where you would love Taco Bell. Like, that's... People your age love Taco Bell, and then suddenly wake up one day and we're like, what was I doing exactly? Like, what? But trust me, I had a lot of cheesy gordita crunches during my time. I promise you. I get it. Like, I just... Again, there's an age.
Okay, so it's not Taco Bell.
It was, if I remember correctly, it was like all McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. Like, it was just the lowest of the low rent.
I will say, I mean, that's a safer option for me because I don't know what I'm getting into with Gator. So I'm inclined to lean that direction.
And I'm the exact opposite way. Like, I can't eat that food anymore. I just can't. I cannot do that to myself. I don't hate my body enough to eat that food anymore. I'll just eat the damn Gator, and I'll deal with the fact that it's chewy because there's probably going to be served with a nice remoulade. Like, that's what they normally serve with Gator.
It's nice and seasoned.
So I'm just going to choose to enjoy that because I cannot. I just don't hate myself enough to eat all those other foods. And then number 3, would you rather you're Steph Curry?
I would say I would also rather try and do it without Durant.
It's a tough thing, right?
I mean, like, I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure
what's
what's
wrong with just winning more titles.
Right, exactly.
What's wrong?
I'm never going to experience that, so I can't really speak.
It's
like,
it's a fascinating
does it matter
question.
who's on your team?
It's a fascinating question because it really does bother me the way that we talk about the Durant thing, right? Like we have so much more disdain for Durant doing what he did than for LeBron James, uniting with other stars, than for Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen and Paul Pierce doing what they did in Boston. For some reason,
well, they had already won, hadn't they?
No.
They didn't.
No.
Golden State hadn't won yet.
Okay. Golden State did. Yeah.
He joined a team that was already
had
winning.
won a title. Yes,
Yeah.
they had won one title at that point, and then they had lost in the finals that year to LeBron. That was the year that LeBron won in Cleveland. They lost to the Cleveland LeBron team, and then he went there after that. I don't understand why we think it matters they had already won a title. We keep the target moving to try to back up something because we really just want to discredit Kevin Durant for some reason. Like he isn't one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I'm not worked up about that. But I don't know. There is something about the fact that Steph Curry got to remind everybody exactly who he is.
Yeah.
We have been dismissive of Steph Curry's placement among the greatest basketball players of all time because we've kind of portrayed him as a one-hit. He might be the greatest one-hit wonder in the history of basketball, but we've kind of portrayed him as a one-hit wonder, right? Like, he's a three-point shooter. That's what he is. And we've utterly ignored the fact that, no, he's actually been a really great basketball player. And he deserves to be talked about the way that LeBron James is discussed. He deserves to be talked about in those ways because now twice, not single-handedly, but he's now twice carried teams to titles. And he's also was a significant part of two others.
Right. And that's the other thing, like maybe after this past finals, his legacy is already cemented. And so at this point, maybe he can just go, yeah, F it. I'm going for Bill Russell. I'm going for Jordan.
Which is more valuable? Is it more valuable to try to win more titles, or is it more valuable to try to further separate yourself from the greatest players of all time by what you do individually? I don't know the answer. God, It's a wonderful problem to have, obviously. I think I would probably be with you. I think I would probably say, like, no, there are other pieces I would rather add into this mix instead of Kevin Durant that I think can fortify the team. Like, they got to deal with what Draymond Green and Klay Thompson are moving forward. Because what we saw last year, it's a miracle that they won the title despite how bad Klay Thompson looked and despite how bad at times Draymond Green looked. So they got to figure out if Draymond Green can still be a factor moving forward, if Klay Thompson can bounce back. Jordan Poole clearly looks like a guy, now maybe he disappeared a couple times in the biggest moments, but Jordan Poole certainly looks like a star of some sort, a guy that's on the rise that can help him for a little while.
They got Andrew Wiggins.
By the way, Andrew Wiggins looked great. I mean, Andrew Wiggins looked exceptional during the NBA Finals. Like, we can laugh about it, but I don't know that they win the title without Andrew Wiggins. Yeah. Like, Andrew Wiggins was awesome. So I think that they could use some more parts, but I would probably be more inclined to do that and say, we think we can keep winning titles if we build it. We don't need it to be Durant. If we can just add in some other pieces that can help out, then I think that we can keep winning titles, and that maybe does more for my legacy long term. But it's a damn fascinating question to me. Continue to get me your responses at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter for Would You Rather Wednesday, brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Also, everybody's having fun. I think that somebody shared out an old WJZ clip about Fancy Clancy yesterday. And I retweeted it, and I just said, and it's factual, the man, this clip is from 1985.
You want to play it, or?
You can if you'd like. Sure, go ahead. This is a clip from WJZ in 1985 about Clancy. Yeah? Mm-hmm.
Hey, go, beer man. Anybody need a brew? Hey, beer man, anybody need a beer? Hey, 4-cone cans for 4 thirsty fans.
His name is Clarence Haskett, but everybody knows him as Clancy, the ballpark poet, the super vendor of Memorial Stadium.
Hey, hustle, always on time. Clancy's here with another rhyme. Beer man. I can sell any beer, I'll tell you the truth. You know? I mean, I don't want to be bragging or anything, but, my popularity, it helps a lot. As far as the crowd is concerned, the fans.
All right. We get. It's Clancy. It's amazing, but it's 37 years ago. 37 years. And all I said was just one sentence, and of course, these are the tweets that, of course, get traction, right? Like, all I said was the man does not look even a single day older today. And I stand by that. Like, we just had Clancy in studio, not that, maybe it was right around, it might have been like right before the pandemic. It might have been like the week before the pandemic hit. I mean, he
has not changed.
He looks the exact same. The exact same. The best response that I got, because it was mostly just people liking the tweet and whatever, like, but the best response that I got to this, and it is a good one, and it makes a lot of sense, came from, oh, God, I got to find it. Where is this? It was from
Rick. That one?
Was it Rick? He just said, who would have thought that, yeah, Rick, exactly right. Mentioned elsewhere in the Twitter sphere before as it relates to Clancy, but apparently running up and down stairs with heavy objects on your shoulders is good for you. In fact, the argument you make, because it's our buddy Eric Arditi said you could make an argument he actually looks younger today. He does actually maybe even look more ripped today. Like, if you saw, like, he looks even more jacked today than he looked in 1985. The dude, he looks like he could still play linebacker right now in the NFL. 37 years later. It's insane. Gotta love Clancy. That's my guy. All right, let's go through these because we still got to get one more break in. That's the unfortunate part.
All right, I guess I'll start with an easy one. I just want to make sure you know where this guy is. Zadarius Smith.
Yeah, Zadarius Smith ended up in Minnesota.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Thought he was coming home.
Yes. All right. Next, let's go with wide receiver DJ Chark.
Detroit, right?
Yes, he is. DJ Chark up in Detroit.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with another receiver, former Raven, Miles Boykin.
Pittsburgh.
There you go. Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
He is in Pittsburgh. All right, let's. All right, Matt Breida, running back.
I did not know Matt Breida was still in the NFL. I have no clue. How about who needs a running back? Houston.
Not Houston. Not on a team that you would think needs a running back.
Okay, who is it?
The Giants.
No idea.
He is a New York Giants.
Gun to my head, I could not have told you that Matt Breida was still in the NFL. Good for him. I mean, it's good news.
How about Carl Nassib?
I did not know this one until this week. The Buccaneers.
Yes.
I had no clue.
I know, neither did I.
Honestly, and I wrote about it in Power Rankings. I really was terrified that he had just been run out of the NFL. Like, I hate saying that, but.
Well, he was with Vegas.
Vegas, yes.
Last year.
But I was, look, man, I wish this wasn't the case, but I think we know that it might have been easy for NFL teams to say, yeah, we're good. Like, I was actually relieved when I found out that he was with the Buccaneers.
How about Jalen Moore, just cut by the Ravens, got picked up?
That is not relevant enough for me to have any idea. Is he on an active roster?
I mean, he's listed on their roster on the website.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a bit surprising.
On the Jags. Jalen Moore got picked up by the Jags.
Good for Jalen Moore.
How about Miles Jack? Linebacker.
I didn't know Miles Jack had a new team.
Neither did I.
Miles Jack. I'll say
he is in the division.
New Orleans.
He's in the division.
Same division that he was in?
No, he's in
Oh, he's in the Ravens division?
Yeah.
He hadn't been Cleveland?
No.
Where did he end up?
Pittsburgh.
I had no idea.
Neither did I.
No idea.
Miles Jack is
so now what I'm 4 for 7 now?
Oh, I get You're keeping track. Good.
I am.
All right, let's go with Patrick Laird, running back.
I can't believe Patrick Laird's still in the NFL.
Neither could I.
Oh, God, this got bad. Philly.
Not Philly.
I don't know.
Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Why?
I don't know.
All right, 4 for 8. Okay.
You know where Hayden Hurst is, right?
Yeah, he's Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati. I completely forgot. I saw him until he caught a touchdown, I think.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
okay.
Or he made some big catch,
right.
And I was like, look at that guy's hair, and then he turned around, and I was like, that's Hayden Hurst.
There was a lot of tight end movement.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of that this offseason.
I don't know if this is a guy on a new team, but Jeff Swaim. Speaking of tight ends.
He's not a relevant enough one, unfortunately. Yeah. Seattle still.
No.
Tennessee.
Yes, Tennessee.
You know what? This is the problem. There are 2 Swaims. Or there's a Swaim and a Swain. There's a Freddie.
Yeah.
There's Jeff and Freddie. So
Freddie Swaim? Okay.
Or Freddie Swain. It's either Swain or Swaim. Hang on a second. Freddie Swain. Yes, Freddie Swain.
Oh, Swain.
Swain. Who apparently is no longer in Seattle. He's now in Miami. Left for Miami this season.
Good for him.
In fairness, I would have gotten that wrong either way. But I'm kind of going to take a half a point on that one because it was more my confusion in Swaim and Swain. And I've done that forever since those two
Okay.
people have existed.
All right,
so I'm giving myself a half a point.
How about Ravens legend Trenton Cannon?
I mean, how the hell was I supposed to know that Trenton Cannon was still in the NFL? Jesus. He's
Return specialist, I think.
The Raiders.
Nope.
Okay, who?
Same team, Tennessee.
Okay, sure.
Tavon Austin.
I just saw this, and I had no idea. Buffalo.
Yep.
Buffalo.
Yeah, neither did I.
Tavon Austin is with the Bills.
How about Sony Michel?
He's a Charger.
Yes, he is. All right, let's go with Philip Lindsay on this running back kick.
I didn't know he was still in the NFL, and I remember seeing that he had a new team, and I definitely saw this. It was, but I thought he was on the practice squad. I thought he was not actually on the active roster.
He was on their website. Maybe I
That's part of the problem.
didn't go double
There's a
check
big
make sure they're
difference
on the
between
P
practice
squad.
and active roster, my dog. There's a very different.
Yeah, I don't think he. I guess he wasn't active.
It was the Colts.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Indianapolis Colts. Philip Lindsay. Still in running back. Trey Sermon.
Philly.
Yeah. Bobby Wagner, linebacker, Super Bowl champion linebacker.
Rams.
Yes, he is. He is a new Ram. Davis Webb, backup quarterback.
No chance. Davis Webb. Again, I'm gonna bet that's a practice squad too.
Yeah, I believe he is. Yeah.
Bears.
The Giants.
Okay. Sure.
Logan Woodside, another backup.
We could do this all day, especially they're not on the active roster.
I think Logan Woodside is the active. Or actually, no, he's not. Yeah, I guess he could. Maybe they could be activating 3 quarterbacks. I'm not sure.
The Titans.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where he was. So that's. I mean, that's just one guy that didn't move. That's.
All right. How about Dante Pettis, wide receiver?
I saw this one too. I couldn't believe that Dante Pettis was still in the NFL. The Bears.
Yep. Big revenge game over the weekend. Scored a touchdown against the 49ers. Zach Pascal.
I did not know he had moved. I thought he was still in Indy, and I did see that he had a new team too. Pascal ended up. Also with the Bears?
Not with the Bears.
No,
it is with the team that we already named.
I mean, we've named a lot of teams.
Eagles.
The Eagles.
Philadelphia Eagles, Zach Pascal. Kyle Van Noy.
I told you get 10. We're already up to 20.
Well, sorry. I found a lot on there.
Kyle Van Noy, the Jets?
No. He's wearing number 8 with the Chargers.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm trying to say. Oh, Philip Dorsett. That's a good one.
Philip Dorsett is a Texan.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Who else do I have left here? Stephon Gilmore.
I did not Colts.
Yeah.
And I did not know
Neither
that.
did I.
I had no idea. And he was really good. I don't know what happened there.
You know where N'Keal Harry ended up? I guess that's kind
Bears.
Of, kind of fresh news.
Yes.
How about Ravens legend Devontae Harris?
No. How would I know
He's playing corner for the Bears as well.
Oh, okay. Good for him. All right. 5 more at most because we're at 25.
I think I only have like 3 more.
Well, I mean, get us to 30. Get us to an even number, dog.
Oh, sorry. Well, I just kept going until I got tired of looking for names.
Okay.
Dustin Hopkins, kicker. Who's he kicking for?
Washington?
No.
Okay.
Chargers.
Okay, if you say so.
Chase McLaughlin. Who's he kicking for now?
If we're going to do kickers, let's just end it at 25.
He's the only other kicker I have.
Who knows? The Lions.
Just got picked up by the Colts.
Oh,
after
because they dropped
cut Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Nick Foles.
Nick Foles went back to Frank Reich. He's a Colt.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And I stopped after that one. So
you can come up with 2 more. This is
top
what
of
I
my
say.
head,
Get us to a round number. Like, pull up a roster and find a name.
All right, I will.
My God, man. What are we doing?
All right, hang tight.
No, not hang tight. Just
I got one for
throw
you.
out a name.
This is a great one right here. Where is this guy?
Just
You
say a
have
name.
No clue. This
All right,
guy.
We tried. We did our best. And it failed.
Jonathan Allen.
He's still a commander.
Yeah, he is.
Why would he not be a commander? What
Maybe
was that?
Thought I could,
You're not
thought
even
I could
trying.
get you. Thought I could
You're
get
not
you.
even trying.
They're just the first roster I clicked, and
You're not even trying. All right, so I went. What did I go? I went.
Amir Abdullah. There we go.
Lions?
Not Lions.
What is it?
He is a Las Vegas Raider.
Oh, Raider. All right. Oh, and they got Brandon Bolden too.
Yes,
actually,
they did.
Which
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I was thinking about saying him next.
No idea. All right, so I got 10, 14 and a half, 17 and a half out of 30. I'm taking that. That's a win. I went better than 50-50.
It's a win if you get this guy from.
No chance.
He is. Okay.
Say a name.
No.
Okay, we're giving it. We got to take another break still. We have to wrap up the show.
Let me see.
These 4 break days are going to be a problem.
I want to find a good
No,
one.
we got to go.
All right, fine.
All right, thank you. That's that. I did all right, though. I'm proud of that.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, when we come back in.
We should do you want to do that every day?
Every day. I feel like I'd be sharp at some point. Today's show also brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, where they're giving you free bets. But the way it works, you put your $25 bet in, the parlay bet in, and you get a $5 free bet that you can use on a same-game parlay. But it's got to be 500 plus 500 odds or higher. All right? So it's a chance to make a freebie bet that could end up paying off big time just because you put in the bet that you wanted to. Go to the window if you have questions, because I get it. It's difficult for me to explain eloquently. If you've got questions about it, go to the window. Just say, I heard you were doing free bet giveaways. And they will explain it all to you right there at the window in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Tidbit tubular to wrap it up next. Glenn Clark Radio.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn, over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
What's up, everyone? This is Tyus Bowser, and I'm excited to tell you that I'm back for Season 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show in partnership with Pressbox and Great Ace Memorabilia. Join us on Tuesday nights throughout the season as I'll be heading all over town with my special guests. And, of course, our co-hosts, Glenn and Rita. Or is it Rita and Glenn? What is it? I look forward to meeting you guys and talking a little bit about football and a lot about life. And if you happen to miss the show, you can now catch a replay Friday nights on 105.7 The Fan. Get all of your details for the Tyus Bowser Show right now at PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, September 20th at Skipjack's Crab Deck in Middle River. It's brought to you by the all-new Ginsu Grill and Maryland Vascular Specialists.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka profiles Ravens tight end Mark Andrews' path to NFL stardom, from his late decision to play the sport full-time through having to overcome type 1 diabetes and more. Also, inside, we introduce you to football players at Maryland, Navy, Towson, and Morgan State. And we give you everything you need to know for betting football this season. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of demos, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
See Olympic athletes in action as the nation's best horses and riders compete in one of the world's premier equestrian events at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Academy, October 13th through 16th in Cecil County. Don't miss the breathtaking excitement of the dynamic cross-country competition or the elegance of dressage and precision of show jumping. There's also great shopping and activities, including a fresh food fest, corgi race, and a beer, wine, and spirits showcase. So come enjoy a beautiful fall day at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th. Learn more and buy tickets at maryland5star.us.
The Maryland Lottery presents Ravens' Greatest Plays. 2001, the big one. New York had just scored, and momentum was on their side when the Ravens returned the ensuing kickoff 84 yards for the touchdown that cemented their first world championship. Another great Ravens play belongs to Beth of Riverdale. Beth played Ravens scratch-offs and won a chance to travel with the team to an away game. You could be next. Play Ravens scratch-offs with instant prizes up to $100,000. And please play responsibly.
To follow the show on Instagram, it's just Glenn Clark Radio. And to follow the show on OnlyFans, wait, I don't think you're supposed to know about that one. Any hoodle. Take it away, boys.
Coming soon, the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, the perfect ceramic tailgate or home grill to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all kinds of food. Get the details and reserve yours today at ginsugrills.com. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit of the day is brought to you by the print issue of Pressbox, available right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox. That's Mark Andrews on the cover. Great cover story from Bo Smolka, really diving into his unlikely path to NFL superstardom. Go get it right now or read it at PressBoxOnline.com.
All right, so Aaron Judge, hit 2 more home runs last night. He is up
did
to
indeed.
57 on the season.
By the way, we're not really having this debate. The people that I know Ben McDonald tried bringing it up last night. There is no debate about who's hit the most single home runs in a single season. Like you can be as mad about it as you want. There is no debate. There is no who's the real home run champ. There's no controversy to be generated whatsoever. You're just trying to force it because you don't like Barry Bonds. It's fine. You can have whatever opinion you want to have. I don't think he's a likable guy, but you can't try to make you can't try to rewrite the history that's been written. That's Major League Baseball's problem. They didn't care. They didn't try to do anything about steroids at the time, and so they got to deal with that. Aaron Judge will not be the single-season home run king by hitting 62 home runs.
I agree. He's brought his WRC plus, his weighted runs created plus, up to 206. And if he's able to maintain that number or go higher, he will join and WRC is tries to account for external factors like ballpark and era. So 100 is league average, 150 would put you like 50% above league average, and then so 206 is insane. Next closest is Yordan Alvarez and Paul Goldschmidt. They're like 184, I think. I had it up here a second ago. Yeah, 184 and 183.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, unbelievable year for Aaron Judge. And if he's able to stay at 206 WRC+, he will join only 8 other players who have had a season with the WRC+ that high.
Oh, you know me. I've been studying WRC+ for a long time, so I can definitely give you the list.
So, yes, there are 8 guys that have done that.
I'm going to guess Barry Bonds.
Yes, Barry Bonds. He posted 4 such seasons.
A-Rod?
Not A-Rod.
Pujols.
Not Pujols.
Babe Ruth.
There you go. Babe Ruth did it 6 seasons.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Hank Aaron.
Not Hank Aaron. Not Hank Aaron.
This skews hitting home runs.
Yeah. Yes. So they're not everyone smashed.
Yeah. Not everyone is smashed. Oh, I thought it was. Mickey Mantle.
Yes, Mickey Mantle did it. I believe he had 1 season.
Okay.
1957. Another guy that did it 6 times.
Another guy that did it 6 times.
Yeah. For the Boston squad.
Boston. Yastrzemski?
Not Yastrzemski.
Boston did it 6 times for Boston. David Ortiz.
Not David Ortiz. Much older.
Much older, you say. Ted Williams.
There you go. Ted Williams. He did it 6 times for the Boston squad.
How about that?
Once in 1941 and in 1957. So like a 16 years difference there. World War difference.
I believe you.
I'm trying to think. There's another Yankee on there.
Another Yankee. Lou Gehrig?
Yes, sir. Lou Gehrig did it in 1927.
How about Sammy Sosa?
Not Sammy Sosa.
How about
very old Detroit player?
Al Kaline.
Not Al Kaline. Even older.
Even older than Al Kaline. So, God. Even older. Greenberg?
Not Greenberg.
Even older than Al Kaline. Man, I don't know.
Ty Cobb.
Oh, Ty Cobb. Yeah, I guess
Ty Cobb
I should have guessed that. That's stupid.
And
really.
then for the St. Louis team in the 1920s, this guy had 2 seasons.
1920. Come on, man. Who?
Rogers Hornsby.
Fine.
Yes.
We could have been here all day on that.
Yeah, and then Mark McGwire had 205 in 1998. Not good enough.
Bum. He stunk.
But yeah, so unbelievable stuff from.
Right.
He's the MVP, right, Aaron Judge? I mean,
what, man?
Ohtani, because WRC is just a hitting statistic, so Ohtani's at 149 for his hitting, and I mean it's. I don't know. Do we want to get into an MVP discussion?
Not right now because it's 12-18. This is really difficult because you do have to think about the factor of where he's hitting those home runs. And while I get it, that's where he plays. They all count. I understand that. But like in the minutia of this debate about MVP, I don't know, that is relevant to me. It's relevant to me that he's hitting fly balls that would not be home runs anywhere else at Yankee Stadium. And I'd have to figure out what the number is.
Yeah, I think it is pretty low. how many home runs he's hit at Yankee Stadium that wouldn't have been home runs anywhere else.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying anywhere else. I'm saying how many home
Roughly,
runs
like
has he hit that wouldn't be home runs in at least 10 other ballparks?
Right. Well, how many other guys have hit?
I get it. This is about the it's not me detracting from what he's done. It's about the minutia of a debate about MVP when the guy that you're going up against continues to do things that, again, we have not seen since Tungsten Armo Doyle. All right? So,
yeah,
it's a very difficult conversation to have. I think the people that want to believe that there is one obvious correct answer are wrong. There is not an obvious correct answer. I think there's plenty of room for opinion, but I don't think there's an obvious correct answer about MVP. Tubular is brought to you by the Maryland Five Stars. See Olympic athletes in action as the nation's best horses and riders compete in one of the world's premier equestrian events at the Mars Maryland Five Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th in Cecil County. Here's what's coming up totally tubular this evening. Tyler Wells on the mound for the Orioles against Patrick Corbin in the Nationals, 7 o'clock. Masson 2 for the Orioles broadcast, Masson for the Nationals broadcast. MLB Network, Angels Guardians at 1, Padres Mariners at 4, Dodgers Diamondbacks at 10:30, FS1 for Brewers Cardinals at 7:45. Champions League again today, Paramount Plus for all the games, Golazzo Show at 3 on CBS Sports Network. ESPN2 has the Campeones Cup. I know you never miss that. Atlas, whatever that is, against NYCFC at 7:30. TNT for AEW Dynamite tonight at 8. Some non-sports highlights?
Non-sports, we have, where are we? Oh, MasterChef finale on Fox.
I thought that was last week.
There's 2 parts. There's 2 parts.
Jesus
I thought I didn't specify that. Amazon Prime is doing...
I just got through the semifinals, so I didn't realize I had 2 more whole things to watch.
Well, congratulations. It's exciting. Got more to watch.
Go ahead.
Amazon Prime's doing their NFL Pile-On. It's supposed to it's hosted by Taron Killam.
I'm good.
And it's like the preview.
I'm good.
It's supposed to be like a comedy thing, I guess.
It is.
The preview Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime.
I'm all right.
Big thing is
I do like Taron Killam though. That's
yes, I know.
part.
I like him too.
I like Taron Killam.
They did a little like ad preview thing.
It
just
looked
great.
like any other attempt. And look, I wish there was a good way to do a sports comedy show. Norm did one once upon a time on the old Versus network. It's just a very difficult
This one.
Yeah, this is the one. It's just very difficult to do it, man. It's very, very difficult to do it. And I think it's better suited the way that some places do it, where they try to incorporate like comedy sketches into their shows. Caliendo obviously has been very good at it over the years. I don't think the Rob Riggle stuff has really been all that good on Fox. I mean, again, I've never watched.
I don't think so.
I've never watched that show. I only ever see if it pops up on social media. So maybe in the context of the show, it's good. I don't know. It's tough. It's very tough to do.
Finale of High School Musical, the series, out on Disney Plus tonight. But the big thing on Hulu, season 5 premieres of The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh,
yes.
I've never gotten into The Handmaid's
Tale. I think
it's
my
very
mom's
dark.
into it.
Very
Yeah.
dark.
And Steve Carell's gonna be on Colbert, and then Kim Kardashian is gonna be on James Corden.
Okay, talking
about
interesting whoever her new boyfriend's gonna be.
Well, because Kris Jenner was on last week, and she said that they brought up the sex tape with Ray J, and that for some they didn't want it to come out, and then Ray J went on I think IG Live or something and was all like, no, they were paying me to release this thing, and so it got. Which is why it's interesting that Kim K's going now on.
That would not. I do not care, but
if you're up at 12:37, turn on CBS.
There are people that do. Hey, thanks today to Brian Baldinger. Thanks also to Eric Edholm and to Drew Forrester. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow, Kevin Harlan's going to join us, correct?
We should stop at Bowie as well.
Okay. Kevin Harlan joins us before he will call the Ravens game Sunday for CBS. Apparently, we're making a trip to Bowie and stuff and things on the program tomorrow. Weekend at Bookies, sure. Thanks to everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including our friends at Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Acasas Inn, the Maryland Lottery, Guilford Hall Brewery, Grade 8's Memorabilia, the Fandor Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, Maryland Vascular Specialist, the all-new Ginsu Grill, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I think we're going to start getting more content up on TikTok. Unfortunately, we did not have the ability to sign into our TikTok account for a little while. Carson Weekly got that taken care of. Thank you, pal. And I think we're good now. All right. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go Birds. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too.